It's my happening, baby, and it freaks me out. Yeah, man. This is the LaserDisc Wolfpack THX CAV Special Limited Edition podcast, baby. Welcome back, everybody. And this time, I'm going to wait. I'm not even going to spill ahead what we're going to be talking about. I'm just going to introduce myself, Culturedog Sam Hatch. I'm back here with these fine gentlemen, and I'm going to pass it along to my man, Ryan Cushing, ex-Illinois assassin. His trademark, a superstitious man. He leaves an unglued LaserDisc label on every victim he kills. Chicago PD would love to get their hands on that LD collection. What's up, Ryan?
Not too much. I have one question for you all. Do I make you drowsy, baby?
You do.
And I'll pass it off to Vinnie.
Hello, gentlemen. Tonight, I am sponsored by Bob's Baccarat Bonanza on Route 46 for all your Baccarat supplies, dice, the big, card chip things, shoes, all that stuff. We got you covered.
Good. All right, who's next? Spencer? Luke?
Luke.
Oh,
Luke.
No, this is not Luke. This is someone else with a different face. I've had plastic surgery.
Oh, yeah.
It's totally common to do and super easy. So, hey, what's up?
And Agent Draper.
Oh, Spencer, there you go.
Oh, well, I am here and I am still looking for not a lighter with 82 functions with a possible 83rd, but I'd like to find one with 84 functions because I do want to light a cigar.
You got to have a lot of functions.
Yes.
Yeah. So we are going to talk about films that are not Bond films. We did our little kind of top 5 Bond thing a while ago, but we should probably revisit that at some other point. But this was Ryan's brainchild. And we're doing Bond spoofs / knockoffs. And we're even branching out a little bit because there's a couple of releases we're going to be talking about that haven't had LaserDisc releases. So I know, gasp, clutch your pearls. But yeah, we had a specific list. Ryan is basically our, he's like our Q and our M rolled into one. He organized this and he sent out care packages that thankfully did not explode with a special device in there that we were supposed to implement in our viewing sessions. And then he gave us instructions on a certain bunch of films to watch. And we watched those films. And we're going to talk about them. So we're going to go in order. And obviously, if you have LaserDiscs of these films, show them and show your different versions and incarnations and all that stuff. And we'll kind of hash out, what to get, which version's best, etc. We're going to start off on a positive note with 1966's Our Man Flint from director Daniel Mann and starring James Coburn. Oh, Ryan off the bat with the late release Japan Flex.
Oh, Field of Flex.
Really solid spy spoof with decent cast and a lot of cool sets and great music from Jerry Goldsmith. And what did you characters think of Our Man Flint?
Nice. I went into it not like kind of dreading it, and I really enjoyed it. Like flat out, it was definitely one of the more enjoyable ones, as we'll find out.
Yeah, Vinnie, you're old like me. Had you seen that as a youngster?
Yeah. Late teens, early 20s. When I worked at Blockbuster, it was on one of the in-store sizzle reels. So we kept hearing and seeing a few of those scenes over and over, one of which involved Coburn, karate chopping someone and screaming as he does or yells, of course, which are incredibly funny. So ever since then, a bunch of us at the store went home, watched that one and the sequel, which I realized after watching Our Man Flint, the sequel is the one I watched the most, and that one had just amazing bits. So I came in already with a good feeling about those movies, and they may not have been as funny as I remember, but I watched them late in this run of the 5 movies we watched, so it was practically Citizen Kane compared to the others.
A little breath of fresh air.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was just everyone seemed to be having fun. Lee J. Cobb was, as sort of the beleaguered head, but seemed to be having a good time. I want to steal his ringtone. I think that red phone ringing, that tone is amazing.
It gets around a lot in other films and TV shows, etc.
Right. So many great bits, bringing someone back with a light bulb, putting your finger in the light bulb and then transmitting the electricity to someone to shock their heart back.
Jumpstart their heart.
Yeah. I'm surprised that wasn't in Pulp Fiction.
They actually cut that out of British Prince because they thought kids would emulate it.
Oh,
yes.
I could see that. Yeah. In case one of their friends passes out. I had Coburn was just so cool in it. No one looks like him. No one has that build like him. Just sort of this giant,
he's so
frame.
jangly and lanky. And
so I feel like they wrote stuff in it to fit him, like laying in a coffin. So he looks like Nosferatu or the high kicks and all that stuff. So I thought it was a blast.
Nice.
And
Luke, was this your?
I got the CBS Fox versions, but like Seth, I was too lazy to bring them up.
Oh, you don't have them. Luke, was this your first encounter with the Flint film?
So I've known about Flint for a while. So and this is off topic, but I actually put out a CD when I was in my 20s. I haven't told you guys about. It's very experimental.
Secret Luke knowledge.
Secret Luke knowledge, but I actually sample Our Man Flint. Like there's one little.
Oh, nice.
Says Flint, the world's in trouble. He's like, it usually is, but it gets along without my help. That's on the CD.
That's great. Yeah.
Nice.
So I've always kind of wanted to watch it, but never got around to it. And so I was excited to see it. And my hot take for this is I hated it.
Oh, ooh, that's a surprise.
I watched it kind of late at night, like after my daughter went to sleep. But then I stopped. And I liked the first 30 minutes. I thought it was really cool. His bed was amazing. That was the coolest thing ever.
It is, yep.
And the plastic surgery scene, of course, like the one security guard, and he knows that he's not this whatever. And then Hans Gruber. Did you guys catch that?
Oh, yeah, Hans Gruber.
Hans Gruber is here. But after that, I watched it the next day. No, it was a snooze fest. It really it was like Ambien. I'm like, I must fight to stay awake. That scene you just said, Vinnie, I don't remember it like at all. I don't remember.
Which one? Oh, with the light bulb.
Nope. That was not the movie. I have no idea. I don't know. I thought it was like it was all indoor on sound stages. There's there's these other movies that we watched. The one like I loved it when they were outside. I'm like, oh well, this is actually kind of neat to watch. But Flint was just like all inside and just. Oh my God. A lot of things I thought about during these movies was like, what's the difference between like a parody and a ripoff, and is Flint a parody or is Flint a ripoff? And I kind of felt, it was like a serious take. It's like, okay, we're going to make our own Bond film and this is what we're going to do. I don't know.
They threw in a few references like 0008, obviously.
Right.
Like that. So to mix it up.
But the one other scene I really liked was when, I don't know if I liked it. It was just silly. Like he's in the volcano, right? He's going after the bad guy. And then like, there's just this dance party and he just stops what he's doing, saving the world. They're like, hey.
Well, he has to get his lady friends back.
And he has to deprogram them. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So Spencer, obviously this was when other kids were watching Sesame Street. You were watching the Flint movies, right?
Yes. Repeatedly ad nauseum. Unfortunately, they were pan and scan because it was like on cable and stuff. So, but they would usually run them together. So I just thought it was one giant movie. And so it took me the longest time to realize some of my favorite things were in the second one. And then also that's why certain parts didn't feel as good because they were two different movies directed by two different people. And the sequel has a much lesser reputation, but it's got great stuff in it. It's just one of those cases where first one was a surprise hit and they're like, what do we do? And then like everybody and their brother has an idea. But I mean, you see this as a kid, and I've said it before. I saw this.
Oh, you got it. All right,
and I'm like, this is the coolest person in the history of time. It's okay that I'm not cool at all. Like, because I do not compare to
He's got all the cool. Yeah.
And then I just became fascinated with him in general. And so he became one of my favorite actors. And I would just watch him in other stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, he's just great in everything. So that started my Coburn fandom. And I loved that I was already heavy into Bond. So I picked out I could pick up on some of the in jokes, but also what's great about Flint is there's a wit to the screenplay and they're having fun with it. But what they're doing, what makes the jokes work is he's great at everything, but he doesn't like being a spy. He does his own thing. And so, it takes Galaxy trying to kill him to make him go, well, all right, I guess if you're going to try and kill me, I have to stop you now. But he still does it in his own way, like, God damn it, you're going to follow orders now, man. Oh, no, sir. And then when everybody comes up at the beginning and he's fencing and he's karate fighting and, doing everything, every time somebody comes up, he just says, no. He just walks off. So yeah, this honestly, you can tell these were very low budget. These were all I think they were like $3 million was the budget of this first one, which was sizable but not super huge. So honestly, in a lot of ways, I think it plays more like it sort of has a little bit of a TV vibe to it because it is on a lower budget and it's all on stages. But because of that the wittiness in the writing, I almost sort of almost has the Batman 66 feel in there from those first season episodes where they were more about the satire. So there's a lot of Bond satire in here. And there's also a lot of satire of everything else that was coming out in the spy craze. So it's just, and the funny thing was I just revisited these for the first time in ages. And then I got the message from the head bro. So it was like something was in the air.
Good timing. Yeah.
And I just fell in love with them all over again. And of course, they're actually photographed in scope. The sequel was the next to last CinemaScope film, actually in the real CinemaScope. But this is the CBS Fox LD, gorgeous original artwork. Actually has a gatefold, even though it's a single disc. So I'll go ahead and show that off. More of the art. Of course, the liner notes are going crazy, but it has real liner notes. See if you can
very nice
get that close. And then it's an early Fox widescreen disc, but it actually looks pretty good. It's got cue changeovers, but the mono is really clean and sounds the same as the DVD, which I have here. I was lucky enough to get this before it went out of print, but this is the double pack, which adds two commentaries. And this is the master they reused for the Twilight Time Blu-rays that I stupidly didn't buy that are now like $250 each because they have the isolated Jerry Goldsmith scores that sound better than the out of print CD. And it was like one of the first Twilight Time discs they ever did. And so I'm like, oh, well, that's cool, but they're kind of pricey. And then like 5 minutes later, they were gone. And I'm like, you mean they had isolated scores?
So are those the Blu-rays? I was looking at those on eBay or whatever.
These are the, that Twilight Time was because they're back in business now, but I think they just lost the license. But apparently they did just do the Flint films, I think in France on Blu-ray, and it's like a double pack. So I'm sure it's probably the same masters, but without the extras and stuff. But I just saw people posting about it on some of the forums and I'm like, oh, cool. Got to do imports, I guess. But you can get the.
So I remember when the yellow cases came out. Remember those in the 90s?
Yeah,
those are the ones I bought, and Modesty Blaze and all that stuff. When Goldmember came out, they were like, "Let's cash in."
Exactly. That's why they did it, and I'm pretty sure what they probably did was they probably made a new master for Ryan's Superflex Japanese set, and then probably use it because those DVDs were like 01, 02.
Yeah,
and then
his is 98.
They took those, and that's what you get here. But they added commentaries and this slip box. So transfers are the same, but the best part, and I say best in that it's worse than anything that's on this episode. Like it makes Never Say Never. It makes some of the stuff we've had to look at crazy. But this includes the lost pilot for the 70s Flint show, where they turn him into a private detective. It is horrendously bad. It has nothing to do with anything. No. Some actor you've never heard of, big, thick, black hair, talks in a voice like this. No gadgetry. Oh my God. I made it to the first 10 minutes.
I'm curious about the timeline of Coburn here. Like, what was this, like his first big one, or like was he doing other stuff? You know, like this guy he is so weird looking. Like he is like the opposite of Bond in this movie. Why was he chosen to be in this movie?
Well, his first real big break was Magnificent Seven. That's what really broke him in 1960. And
how long ago was that from Flint?
6 years, because Mag 7 was 1960. And the only reason he got the job is because his buddy was Robert Vaughn, and Robert Vaughn gave him a call. It's like, hey, they need somebody for this movie. And the irony was Coburn was a giant fan of Seven Samurai and loved one character in particular. And of course, that was the part they had to cast, was the version of that in the remake. So he's in there. And so he and Bronson and Robert Vaughn and everybody, they're not the stars, but they become huge in Europe. And then he has a couple more films that are higher profile. He's in Charade, really fantastic as one of the villains. And then he did Americanization of Emily, which was 1964. And that was a really big, critically revered drama. So then his name was kind of in the ether. And so then Fox wanted their own Bond. And what's the producer's name? Dang it, I gotta.
Did they like specifically want an American Bond? Was that like part of the goal?
Well, they wanted their own version. Like, you know, you had like they started even making films out of the TV show. So Man from U.N.C.L.E. had movies literally made out of episodes, and they did that to the same. They did all those in Europe. But then every studio wanted their own, so they started cranking out the Matt Helms. They started cranking out any sort of tangentially related spy thing. They started doing more World War II films with spying. So Fox, the producer's name was Saul David, and he came over to Fox, did a handful of really great films like Von Rand's Express, and he wound up doing Fantastic Voyage. And he was the one who basically, this was his brainchild, and he was put in charge of it. And he's the one who handpicked Coburn, who had kind of been just steadily rising up the ranks, but not getting super anywhere. And again, it was very low budget. You know, it was $3 million, so they couldn't afford.
What do you guys think? Is this a ripoff, or is this a parody of James Bond? I'm kind of leaning towards this. Like a serious. They were playing it straight. There's not crazy, silly stuff. What do you guys think?
Oh, it's straight up parody of. I wouldn't say just Bond. It's spies in general. It's the whole spy craze.
I know, and that's in like. But you know, we're going to talk about movies that are just straight up like this is silly, over top nonsense. But I feel like Flint
or knockoff. Then
hey, we're going to go straight here. We're going to, you know,
and that's what makes it work, because it has a narrative. You know, it's not just wacky. You know,
if you've never seen a Bond movie, I wonder how this would play for someone.
Yeah, it was fun revisiting it, because as a kid, I don't know, something about the way my parents reacted to the Flint movies. It tripped across my radar. I'm like, oh, I want to see that. And I thought it was like a porn. I was like,
what?
That was like the James Bond porn, like kind of thing. Cause they're like, ooh, yeah, but they would let me watch all sorts of other crazy stuff.
It's a little risque.
Yeah. So I'm like, why? They reacted so strongly that my mind immediately filled in the blanks and is like, whoa, this is going to be like, you know, like Flesh Gordon or something, or even worse. Yeah. So I was like, this is going to be the sexiest. And then I watched it. I'm like, oh, okay. What was the big deal?
But by far and large, of all the competing studios attempts, I mean, our man Flint is like, you know, it's here. Whereas if you look at one of the Matt Helms, and Dean Martin is like sleepwalking through it, and because he had got like 80% of the profits on the back end, you know, so they just cranked out 4 of those. I mean, it's because it's got some wit to it, and everybody's having fun. And Daniel Mann really did some great work in getting that energy across. And you know, he had directed, you know, hard dramas and different things, so he had a really varied filmography. It's a shame he didn't do the second one, because I think it would have been better. I think that was the big thing that makes the second one not as good. But again, gotta mention that Goldsmith score. I was lucky enough to get this was sealed.
Nice.
Actually, this is the original US stereo pressing. But this is one of the scores where it got re-recorded. So the soundtrack is a different recording. It's actually a bit more dynamic. So you kind of have to have both. So I'm really mad I didn't get those Twilight Time blues because they have isolated of the film versions. But I was just amazed to find this. So if you love the score, there's the soundtrack is a totally different recording with like really nice stereo imaging. So it sounds great, but it's just, again, different than what's in the film mix. But you gotta find this one if you can, because the commentaries are pretty fun. And again, that if you want a challenge for next episode, try watching it's 77 minutes, but I've never seen the whole thing. I can't. It's so bad.
My sleep.
It's
Luke's up on
me.
It's
do it
right now. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. So that was the last thing that happened with Flint, and they were originally going to make a third film, but it just didn't everybody kind of was like, yeah. And Coburn didn't want to get typecast, which he was right to do.
All these movies blend together. This was the movie with the organization called ZOWI.
ZOWI, yes.
And
Zonal Organization National Espionage.
It was not. I remember I read it and like, I'll never remember that.
Yeah. And they had the great aspect ratio on their drop-down screen, which was like, it's like almost like an octagon. It was so exaggerated.
I
like Galaxy Island. That was my jam.
Galaxy, yes.
Galaxy Island.
And of course, they're doing a Volcano 2 years before You Only Live Twice.
Yeah.
Which is fun. And then I swear the Z for and that you see everywhere for Zowie looks like the Zoran Z in A View to a Kill. Like it just, I immediately think that's, I'm like, was that a conscious pull?
My favorite thing were
the other this has the guy from Knight Rider in it. The guy. The bad guy is from Knight Rider. Yes.
Oh, no? Yeah.
So he's the one that uses the first gadget you see when they blow up whatever they blow up. It's basically like this little coil, and he just turns a couple of knobs on. They hand it to a guy. It's cordless, nothing. He just turns these knobs, and they cut to like a mountain exploding. And then later he brings it out again. Like that's their secret weapon. But the gadgets are sort of hit and miss. Like the watch that would wake him out of his
that would
that was great.
I hate it when he stops his heart like that.
Yeah, but then there are other things that he would that look so terrible. And there was, of course, right after he kills Hans Gruber in the bathroom.
Spoiler alert.
And the bathroom setup that's almost the identical same in Austin Powers 1. Like same point in the movie.
And Mission Impossible, the last one, they basically took that bathroom sequence and did it really well.
That was more True Lies.
Yeah. Then unfortunately he, goes into brown face and wraps a towel around.
Yeah, that was
Basically, he starts firing a gun and
randomly.
Crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, and not only did he do that, his jacket just happened to be perfectly reversible. So he
absolutely,
absolutely,
because he's great at everything.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate how cool Coburn was in this, and again, like Vinnie said, just how angular and lanky he was. He looks like a living anime character from like an old like late 70s, early 80s anime, and
especially that grin,
and just those long legs and the athleticism of his fighting and everything. He just kind of brought that to a different level than a lot of other kind of guys, stiff guys in suits with the judo chop. Like he's really up and kicking. And
because shortly, I don't think he had started yet, but he was friends with Bruce Lee and trained with him all the time. So I think it was like around this time. I don't think, because he doesn't use any of that in the film, but I'm sure they probably talked about it. And Bruce Lee was like, yeah, it looked really cool, but what the hell was that?
Yeah, I'll teach you Jeet Kune Do now. Yeah. But yeah, it's got some that action and energy to it. So I buy him a little bit more as this guy that could run around and kick people's butts that heavily.
So I want to know what kind of computer algorithm they had that like they pumped in everyone in the world and they got Flint out. Like, we got this guy, and he doesn't even follow rules, but he's the one. Like,
he's the one.
That's the gadget I love. I love the the memo thing that would deliver the memos to Lee J. Cobb.
Oh, the pneumatic tube thing.
The pneumatic, tube was awesome.
But yeah, I like how they kind of
stuff
poked fun at the Gary Stu-ness of what they turned Bond into, because in the books Bond was a little bit more of a human and interesting, and you realize that he's often playing a character that he isn't. And the films, of course, he's this kind of like perfect guy that knows everything and does everything. So yeah, I like how they made Flint essentially that guy. Like he's just so great and perfect. And
but it doesn't work every time. That's the other thing. There's a bit of wit there. There's a couple things, and some things are just diabolically funny, like an anti-American eagle.
Yes, that was
diabolical.
That was killer.
But then there's the great line when you have the classic showdown and there's the blow everything up lever, and Flint's gonna pull it, and then the doctors pop up, which of course weirdly their names seem to be applied to the wrong person if you look at the actors.
Yes.
And Dr. Wu and Dr. Schneider, and I'm like, okay, was that just something they did on set, or did they literally screw that up? But anyway, it's the exchange where he goes to pull the blow everything up lever, and they're like, but Mr. Flint, ours would be a perfect world. And you're thinking like, a perfect world of sex slaves, and what are they doing?
Okay, wait, this was the movie with the sex slaves, right? It's just
sole purpose in life is to pleasure my companions.
So I'm almost like agreeing with these three scientists. I'm like, what? Yeah, let's
they got it.
And all the guys get the exotica Viagra
then they have
thing.
Then they have the girl falls in love with Flint. Okay, it's all coming back to me now. The girl falls in love with Flint, and then it's like, oh, fall in love with you is not part of the plan, which is my worst trope in movies. I hate it when that happens. Yeah, the sex slaves was like, what? Oh, ooh, no, I'm not for you guys. Why was that even there? Like,
I'm just happy that they cheered the mass explosion of the island at the end, and not many people got away.
Yeah, you have to wonder. Yeah, it's like you see them all escaping inside and running for their lives, so you have to assume they got out, and I'm sure they just didn't have the budget to show.
But they had to escape in like a special tube,
in the oil barrels.
Yeah.
And then Flint does the high dive, which is like, so that's 5 years before Diamonds Are Forever. But but he gets the epic exit. But I gotta say that line he's got where they're like, ours would be a perfect world, and he goes to pull the lever, and he's like, maybe it's not mine, and then he just throws it. And you're like, whoa, that's like, but he's the individual. He would be the one who would be able to do that. And there's some moments like that in the second one. Unfortunately, not as many, but there's that little bits like that you're like, there's something special here in addition to it just being, a spoof or a riff on spies in general. And they play with the cliches somewhat. And yes, it is ultra low budget, but it's so charming.
So, all right, we're gonna have to move on to our second assignment.
No, I think that's it. I think we're done.
Oh, okay, good.
No,
you're gonna shut down.
Watches.
Our second assignment was 1967's Casino Royale, from the panoply of directors: John Huston, Ken Hughes, Robert Parrish, Joseph McGrath, Val Guest, and starring everyone and their mother. David Niven, Peter
Anybody
Sellers.
Charlie K. Feldman could get to walk on the set, whether it was a promise of champagne or a Rolls Royce, they would show up.
And indeed, and a lot of these films that we're talking about actually have actors and actresses that were, part and parcel of the official Eon Productions Bond films. This one, of course, has quite a few as well. And so Casino Royale was a film that I heard about as a youngster, but never did check out for quite a number of years. And I had seen its direct competitor, You Only Live Twice, theatrically before I had even seen this. And I admit I do not love the Casino Royale. I do own many copies of it, though. I have the,
as you should.
I don't have the widescreen LaserDisc yet.
What?
That Ryan's holding up. Yeah, I gotta get it. But I do have the old janky.
Yes.
And I do have the delightful Japanese edition with the gorgeous cover art.
Is that pan scan or widescreen?
It is pan, and interestingly, it's a weird pan and scan because, of course, the film's 235, and it starts off letterboxed because there's so much in the opening credits. There's like nothing you can do to pan and scan it.
Yeah,
and then it just actually does that kind of like WandaVision thing where it just zooms in on the image until it fills 4:3. And then randomly during the film, it just goes back to partial letterbox, because especially in the bits with, you know, any subtitles or anything like that, when David Niven's, you know, going to the castle in Scotland and
Bhutan.
all of a sudden there's all these you know, subtitles and things like that. So then it's like, it doesn't go back to 235. It goes back to just all sorts of random dimensions. So it bounces around crazily in aspect ratio.
So it's like, oh, there's subtitles. Let's go 185, and then let's go back to
And the first reel is also, it looks like the right edge of the frame is like stained yellow or something like that. So you'll notice whenever it pans over right, there's just this horrible kind of like yellow line going on. So it looks pretty rough. But I also had to have the gold rental edition. So
why was that not the US jacket? Why do they always change the original poster? I mean, you can hate the movie, but gosh, the poster is iconic.
It also has this cool, you probably can't really see it, but it's got a like Columbia TriStar sticker there with a little hologram. I thought that was pretty nifty. And of course, the go-to one I usually just always watch is the DVD, because this is the one that also has the climax.
Yeah, it's the only official DVD release of the 54, and it's the same as the letterbox LD. It's the same master, so you've got it just without PCM. So
I'll still get the LD anyways. But yeah, I mean, the part that works for me is, and partially works for me, is the stuff with Peter Sellers and Ursula Andress as Vesper Lind. It like, that's the when that stuff happens, I have a sense that there could have been a film here, and I might have enjoyed that film. He kind of goes a little bit over the top with some of his shenanigans there, and
bird in the marketplace.
If he had cooperated a little bit more, maybe there would have been more scenes with him in the film. And of course it was interesting seeing Orson Welles in the film as Lashif, but beyond that, the David Niven stuff just it doesn't work for me. I don't know, there's something about David Niven and his James Bond character, and that stuff just it grows tiresome after a while. So it's got a few moments here and there, and the Look of Love, you got the Burt Bacharach score, there's some moments in there that I enjoy as well, but overall it's tough. It's a rough watch. What about you, Ryan?
And like I wrote down like can't scene, what the hell. It's like, and then I feel like they knew the whole production was just falling apart as they were running through it, so they came up with the everyone can be Bond thing, like everybody's a Bond. Oh my god, it was just hard to try and get through. Like, and I watch trash. Like I watch trash regularly.
We know what you watch.
Yeah, like you guys know this.
We really know this.
We know.
It was hard. And I mean, I wrote down like they randomly like get to this one woman, and she's Mata Hari's daughter, like
Mata Bond,
but she's also blonde, and I'm like, what? And I did like the levitation trick at the Bacharach table. Like that totally made sense that we're in a casino, let's do a levitation trick with chips and everything.
Orson doing the magic tricks.
They said he could do magic, and then Peter left, so he got to do more magic, and then it just kind of went awry.
But there was I don't know if there was anything I liked in that movie. It just
credits, did you like those?
I don't know if I watched the credits. It hit the credits after the finale, the casino scene with the fight and the shootout, and I'm gonna ruin it for everybody. The explosion, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Woody Allen as a ticking time bomb. Who'd have thought?
Yeah, they've literally just like given up. We're gonna just kill everyone. Like I felt like, well, it's an obvious ending because they've just let this whole thing get out of
and Mel Brooks has made that work. So
and then a year later they did the same thing in Beneath the Planet of the Apes, because they're like, screw it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but this just didn't work.
It's admittedly, it's a lot to take in the first time. Like it really is. I can totally understand going in cold. It's just gonna be like, what am I watching?
It broke so many of our panelists. What about you, Vinnie? had you seen this before? Or?
I had seen it before. So when I went through my Bond phase heavily in my, say, early 20s, I'd seen them all, and then I knew.
Wait, it's a phase?
What is this phase you speak of?
But I mean, when I first,
because I think this phase is an unending thing for me.
It never ends. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, like pro wrestling was a phase for me, and then I turned like 16, and
fair enough. Yeah.
But Bond, I obviously still keep up with. They keep making movies, but so I knew of its existence, and I had all the Bond books, and it was sort of like just this thing that they disowned, and it's not canon, and you don't have to watch it. So then I finally did, and I was like angry as I watched it. Like, how dare they? I was really angry. And 30 years later, I was still angry. I watched it the second time. I'm like, I thought maybe I'm older. I'll get, it's like watching Batman when you're older. Like, oh, I see what they were doing there in the 60s. Yeah, but no, I didn't get any of that. I mean, other than Wells, which I'd forgotten, I forgot about him being in it. So that was, I don't want to say fun, but it was cool to see Orson Welles and think of an alternate universe where Wells is an actual Bond villain. Mm-hmm. And I think that would be cool.
Yes, absolutely.
Sure. But that was it. I mean, it's just such a mess that it's hard to let. You can tell when you can tell this is a troubled production. Like, not even being a movie person, you can watch and be like, what happened here? Like,
the production is a movie in and of itself. Yeah. And you're exactly right.
So I'm actually surprised you like it, even as a Bond purist. I'm assuming you saw it at some point after seeing a bunch of Bond movies.
Oh yeah.
Or did you? Yeah. Right. So I'm surprised you like it, but it was not enjoyable to watch again. And that ending was bananas. Only Mel Brooks, I think, could pull that off. Here, it just seemed like just desperation. Literally.
There was a lot of desperation involved, honestly.
Yeah. I guess the only funny cut was the cut to the outdoors and seeing the cowboys, coming up in that one stock footage shot, whatever they used for that shot.
The Keystone Cops bit, where I call the police.
Oh, yeah. Like, you don't get to do that. I feel like you wasted 2 hours. Like, you don't get to suddenly be like, oh, we're going to just be fun and irreverent and do all this weird stuff. Yeah.
Luke, do you have PTSD
Sure.
now?
Yeah, more so. So I have talked shit about this movie a lot. I'm going to start with the things that I liked.
Okay.
So I'm going to be positive.
Things.
I will agree with Vinnie. I love seeing Orson Welles. I thought he was acting his ass off. He was doing a good job. I like some of the, oh God, I can't think of anything else. John Huston. I love seeing John Huston. That stupid mustache. I thought, okay, hey, that's John Huston. Yeah, that's great.
You see, my dear James.
That was fun.
That one scene at the very beginning, like, it starts off with the 5 cars just coming towards. Oh, this is great. I'm going to like this movie. And then it just. So I was reminded of other things while watching this movie. One thing this is going to be a deep cut here, but I read a lot about that movie called Movie 43.
Yeah.
The worst movie ever, where they got every actor and they kind of threw it together. And I was like, I've never seen the movie, but I'm like,
whatever you do. It played while I still worked in a theater. It was a nightmare.
Yeah. So there's 5 directors on this thing. Well, we can talk about all this, but that's the kind of vibe I was getting here. I'm like, okay, that was kind of just mushed together and see if something good can come out of it. And like, there's bare bones in there, and it could have been. I feel like, if Mel Brooks directed this movie, it would have been interesting. The like, another movie I was reminded of was Danger Diabolic, because like all their sight gags with like the floor going down and all this stuff, it seemed like it was real, like it was actually happening, and it didn't look good. Like, it looked like garbage. But then in Danger Diabolic, they do it like, but with matte paintings and all this tricks, and look great, Blazing Saddles came to mind. I like the psych out scenes. I always enjoy a good LSD trip scene. I thought that was good. Peter Sellers, I was excited, and then I'm disappointed. I was like, oh, Peter Sellers, he's going to save us. No, he is not. Woody Allen, when he came in, being just Woody Allen to the max there. And like, there was
my doctor says I can't have bullets entering my body any time.
It's like doing an impersonation of Woody Allen. Like, but I would blink and I'd be like, whoa, what just happened? Like, why is he climbing up the wall? So I rewound it, and he asked for a cigarette, and then he throws the cigarette that they gave him, and it explodes. I didn't get that.
I think it's supposed to be, he has the cigarette and it's a gadget, And
But
he
they
asked for
gave him that
a
cigarette.
light. I thought they always give him the light, and he's got the
maybe.
cigarette on him.
Maybe it was okay. I forgot I'm being positive.
You can do it.
Do this.
You're on a roll.
Okay, and that's it. The rest of it is horrible. It was just like no one was acting in that movie. The only person acting at all was Orson Welles. Everyone else was flat, just reading lines. No one was giving any inflection. Nothing. It was just like, hey, we've got the rights to this book. Holy shit, let's make a movie. Who can we get in here? Peter O'Toole, here, some champagne for you, dude. Let's do this.
You're the finest man who ever lived.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I didn't enjoy it.
Spencer, you're the film's only hope.
Okay, so I will try and just give a very brief overview because again, I would strongly encourage everybody to at least go and read just a few articles online about the production of this film.
Yeah,
no, I'm serious.
Yeah,
I'm serious.
Just take a glance at it. It sucks you in because it explains exactly what happened and how crazy this thing went. But the thing was to just boil it down to its bare minimum because it's really convoluted. So basically, Fleming sold off the rights. They made the 1954 CBS Climax television version, and that meant that the rights to the first Bond book, Casino Royale, were separated. So when they did make the Bond deal, it was for everything but Casino Royale and Thunderball, which was tied up in the Kevin McClory court case.
Yep.
So eventually, what happened was the rights were under Gregory Ratoff, and he passed away, and his widow had the rights, and she wound up selling them to Charlie K. Feldman, who was the biggest agent in Hollywood. He was most famous for coming up with the idea of the package deal, of packaging, actor, actress, director, star in an entire package picture. And he knew everyone in Hollywood, literally everyone, and lived on the phone, had a Rolodex bigger than anybody had ever seen. And everybody loved him to death. So he was apparently a real character and very gentlemanly and everything. And he was actually great friends with Cubby Broccoli. So they went to do a deal to he would sell the Casino Royale rights for a percentage of the profits, and they would do it as an official Connery Bond. But because they did that with McClory, made Thunderball in 1965, so that would have meant that maybe Casino Royale would have wound up being made after Thunderball as the fifth Bond, which is weird. Doing the first story is the fifth Bond, and that would have been Connery's last. But anyway, basically, Feldman decided he wanted to ask for like 70% of all the profits, which is just infeasible and insane. And so it was like, Charlie, what? Because again, he and Cubby Broccoli were longtime friends because Cubby Broccoli was in Hollywood in the 40s and 50s. So they basically couldn't come to a deal. And the thing was, they were still civil about it. So Cubby was like, all right, well, good luck, Charlie. Just please don't try and screw us over by, releasing it at the same time or whatever. So Feldman wanted to get Connery, but you couldn't do that. So he couldn't compete with Bond. So he's like, I'm going to make the biggest spoof ever. And he had just made What's New Pussycat. That was his first produced credit, and he wasn't really a producer. That was the big problem. And that starred Peter Sellers and had Woody Allen, and Tom Jones did the theme song, and it was rather successful. And it was kind of aimed at like this market that was coming out that would now be termed the college crowd of older teenagers, young adults, and adults that would appreciate sort of wittier stuff. And then you had 60s films about you had the sex farces, and you had European comedies that were coming over, and then you had these big budget comedies built around a bunch of stars as well. So all this stuff went into this pot and started boiling over. And eventually it was going to be Casino Royale starring Peter Sellers as Bond, and it was going to have Ursula Andress as Vesper. That was the main focus. And they were going to sort of build it into something like What's New Pussycat. But the problems really erupted when Peter Sellers walked off the set, and they had not even done half the movie, and then everything just kept building and building and building. And so Charlie Feldman's idea was, hey, let's have 5 different directors for every sequence, because then it'll be like 5 different units shooting at the same time, and we'll get done 5 times faster, which that makes no logical sense. Again, he had no producing experience, and it really shows. And so people would stay on. Woody Allen like sat in his London hotel room for like a year just waiting to be called, and they're like, oh, we'll get to you next week. And he's like, and he just wound up having to write his all his dialogue. There's like at least 50 uncredited writers apparently. Everybody and their brother contributed. Billy Wilder did some of the writing. Everybody wrote on it. It just kept spiraling out of control. And so
I'm gonna wait one. So you're saying it was originally supposed to be Peter Sellers being Bond the whole time. Okay, so
that was the general idea. Yeah.
It also reminded me of the Terry Gilliam movie with
Parnassus. Man Who Killed Don Quixote. Oh no,
he died.
Dr.
Yeah,
Parnassus,
I got that vibe from it too. It's like, we didn't finish it with him. Let's throw in whoever.
Johnny Depp and
that's very, very good point. Yeah, because essentially what happened was, once everybody left and this had stretched out for over a year and the budget had got to the point where Columbia literally cut them off because they went so far that it wound up costing $12 million in $67. You Only Live Twice cost 9.5, and that includes Ken Adams' $1 million volcano set. It just and Feldman just kept approving stuff and just, I'll do this, you can fix that, oh, whatever, we'll just get this. And he would call people like, hey, can you be in the movie? I think it'd be great if you just come in. And then he's like, hey, Bill Holden, hey, you want to come in? And Bill Holden's like, well, Charlie, what? Well, okay, I'm in London right now. So essentially what happened was all this stuff was there, 5 different directors and everything. And he finally goes to Val Guest and says, all right, Val, I want you to make something out of this. And Val Guest is like, you want me to what? So it was Val Guest who had to somehow, because there's tons of stuff in the movie we've never seen, like in the montage sequence and the credits, you see the bit where Peter Sellers and Ursula Andress, where he plays piano on her back for a minute, and he's got the clothes on for when he was at the airport and he punches the guy for whatever reason.
Yeah, I actually like that part. That's one of my favorites.
So
does that make sense? Is that anywhere? Did I miss something, or is that crazy?
No. There's tons of things that were removed because the rest of the sequences were never shot, so they couldn't use them. That's why the movie randomly opens with him meeting Mathis and the pissoir. These are my credentials, which is from all the way later in the movie. Yeah. And then they also take the chunk where you have the milk float with the driverless milk float and the grenades and the Bentley chase. Well, that was supposed to be at the beginning going to Scotland, but then they use it after. So Val Guest wound up having to figure out how was he going to stitch this together. And what he did was he got with David Niven and Ursula Andress and used those 2 characters as the through line, and went and shot a bunch of little scenes with them and then stuck them in all over the place to try and build some semblance to then hang the rest of the movie around and, get it in at right around 2 hours. So it would be something releasable. And that's essentially what happened. So that is why the movie has, Stephen J. Rubin wrote about it and said it has plot holes you could drive an Aston Martin DB5 through. That's totally true, because they never got to finish everything. And then Charlie Feldman's like, I just throw some more money at it. Oh, I'll get this person. Oh, I got this person. And they're like, Charlie, what do we do with that? I don't know. It just kept spiraling out of control. So more money got thrown at it. It took longer, and people just left eventually, or the contracts ran out. They had to go shoot their other movie they had to do. So then, like I said, it was Val Guest who had to come up with some way to stitch all this random stuff together. And so he shot those few little extra scenes because he didn't have any money to do that. Columbia was like, no, we are 12 million in the hole. What is this ungodly mess? So once he did all that and they got it all cut down, the great anecdote is, he said Charlie Feldman came up to him like, you've done a great job for me. I'm going to give you a supervising editor credit. And Val said, if you do that, Charlie, I'm going to sue you. What? Because people are going to look at this and say this thing was supervised. So all that out of the way, that's why the movie's as crazy as it is. Now, I first encountered it on, I think it was old school AMC when they were like TCM. So this was, I think probably late 90s, somewhere around there. And they introduced it, and they were doing a Bond marathon, and they said this was the special one. I forget who was introducing it. It was kind of weird, but I'm a kid and I'm just saying, ooh, this is that other weird one I've never seen. And they're like, and it's got David Niven. I'm like, I love David Niven, so this will be great. And so it starts, and Of course, I think it was
what kid doesn't love David Niven?
It's true.
Well, I mean, you see David Niven, and if you have a heart, you love him because he's just so lovable. And the great thing is, he would have probably been Bond. He was Fleming's choice.
Niven was, and what else was David Niven
What
in?
would you have seen him in before Casino Royale as a kid?
Oh gosh, I don't think I'd seen Guns of Navarone yet. I'm trying to think. Pink Panther. That's what it was. That was what it would have been. Pink Panther, and I think like one of the Doris Day movies. There was like one or two, but I also knew him from like, just seeing him in general and being a complete nerd for anything British. And I'm like, oh my God, here's like the most cultured man ever. But anyway, so it started, and I didn't know what I was watching. And of course it was pan and scan because it was broadcast. So I was just flabbergasted. I just sat there, and I think like halfway through I just turned it off because I was like, I don't know what I'm watching. And then I would see bits and pieces over the years just randomly turn up on cable or whatever. And then finally I was like, okay, I was in my teens and I was really serious about everything Bond related. I'm like, I'm going to sit through this and never say never again. I'm really gonna, give him a good go. And so I watched it all the way through. On the DVD, I went and bought the DVD. Guess I should. This guy right here, where they stupidly airbrush out the tattoo girl because they were like, no, that's too much. Yeah. No, you can't do that. And very much designed to try and look Austin Powers-y. So I guess that's what they were going for. So yeah, I watched it properly the first time, and I'm like, well, that was really bizarre. And then every once in a while I would watch it again because, you don't have too many DVDs when you're growing up. So you only have a few. So whatever you own, you tend to watch again. And it had the 1954 Casino Royale on here, which I finally got to see that way. But there was just something about it. There were things I loved in it. Some of the jokes I thought were really funny, and a lot of parts I thought dragged. And I started reading about the production. I'm like, this is fascinating. This is insane. Because it's one of the great film productions that went wrong. You should study it. This movie should be studied because it breaks every single rule of filmmaking. I could teach a course just using Casino Royale 67. But the thing is, I guess so. I've already done a live stream on it.
Let's stop for a second. There's a difference between. I understand it was a shit show and they brought it together. I respect that, but it still doesn't make it a good movie.
Well, I'm getting to that. Here's the thing.
I'm waiting.
It took me a long time because every time I watched it, I found more I liked in it. And then of course it's when you see things when you're a kid and you don't get all the jokes and you don't get all the references. And then the older you get, all of a sudden, you know something, you're like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, I get that now. Because now I'm 15 and not 10.
Spencer.
So
have you heard of Stockholm Syndrome?
I expected some resistance, but geez,
it's a bad movie.
Hang on, hang on.
Right.
I'm
turning the corner.
So anyway,
wrap it up.
Basically, one day I watched it again, and I'm like, holy crap! Even though this has problems out the wazoo, every single scene, all that money is up on the screen. There's so much talent on both sides of the camera. You really, from a film nerd perspective, and also anything 60s spy craze related, I automatically gravitate to because I love that whole era. But there's always something going on, and that's why I say you can't catch everything the first time because there's so much stuff. And like one of my favorite gags in the movie, there's slapstick humor, but there's a ton of really witty stuff. But the bit where Vladimir Shobal, who of course played Kronstein from Russia with Love, so automatically as a Bond fan, I'm like, yay. He goes in the phone booth, calls the chief, and the chief is like, I'll have to raise the money. And he's like, what about me? And he just blows him up, but it blows a hole in the Berlin Wall. And you see all the refugees come through with the baby carriages. And it's like, that is so goofy, but also like so blisteringly funny as political satire. And I'm like, who would have thought that would have been in here? And then there's randomly the scene when everything starts going crazy because there's a whole room of women being painted gold because there just is. So it's so bizarrely charming that it grows on you. and there's so much talent on display.
Yeah.
But then, all right, my last 2 points I will make, because the thing about the actors coming in, and I can understand some, but there are some. I think I love what Peter Sellers does for the bits he's actually in the movie, because some people said, oh, he wanted to actually play Bond, which he didn't. But some of the stuff he does with Evelyn Trimble, the whole seduction sequence is the strongest part of the film, because he was with his choice director and that was the original impetus for it. But, they don't have, he's not doing his usual bumbling shtick in terms of, he's not doing Inspector Clouseau, and he's playing it relatively straight, because Trimble is a normal guy brought into this craziness. So that adds some audience interest. But also, I have to say, it's amazing that they're spoofing spycraft as well. So there's all the World War I and Mata Hari stuff. It's just so much stuff going on. But getting to see David Niven, who was Fleming's choice for Bond, and had you done a 1950s Bond based out of the novels, Niven could have done it. He really could have. And you can see it in the darker bits of Guns of Navarone, which was 61, which has a huge influence on Bond. But even though he's doing it for comedy here, and they wanted that, so he's basically playing Phineas Fogg. He's playing Phineas Fogg from Around the World in 80 Days. That's literally what they wrote. But it's sort of this weird thing, because I've always wondered, what would the 50s David Niven Fleming Bond have been like? And I can see it in my head. So I think it's really fitting that they chose him, since that was the original visage that Fleming had for Bond on screen. But again, I know it's not a movie for everybody, but I think there's just so much stuff going on that it's impossible not to like it.
All right.
You sold Luke. He's on board.
Yeah.
So I'm going to shit on him more, just because.
Okay.
What I'm gonna do.
So of course,
this was.
I bought.
We didn't even see your LD.
This is the one I usually watch, because it's got the best mono, and it looks nice. And of course, hang on, I got one more. Of course, I have the DVD. Of course, I have the Blu-ray, which has the commentary is really fun, because it's two of the best Bond historians trying to keep a straight face. So if you want to hear, legit people trying to get through Casino Royale, you probably want to check out the commentary. But apparently, like I'm like the one like crazy fan. I guess it won me over. I guess because I've seen it probably 100 times. But then one more, because I got to talk about this thing. Because
so wait. You've seen it 100 times.
Well, it probably
hyperbole. Hopefully, though. So, oh man,
because I've shown it to a lot of people. All right. I told you, I think it
like
really is a
Clockwork Orange style.
I really do.
Ludovico experiment. Let's talk about these people. Who are they?
No.
Are they okay?
Are they okay?
The only times where people told me, "All right, I'm never watching a movie you recommend ever again," was when I showed them a double feature, and it was the original double feature. I showed them Wicker Man and Don't Look Now, which were a double feature, and they hated both of them. And I'm like,
Wicker Man's that's a delight.
You talking about Nick Cage?
Seriously?
Okay, so they didn't like that, but they liked the Casino Royale, or they didn't.
Yes. Yeah. I've been hit or miss on it. So really quick, I got to mention, because the score is so amazing that it's just, oh my God. But the recording of this, there is a reason why audiophiles just drool over this thing. This is the original mono US pressing, but then the stereo is where it's really at. This thing, because of the way they recorded it, it was done in Germany. The tape they used, the Burt Bacharach score, and they recorded at these really high levels. This is one of the best sounding releases of any piece of music you will ever hear in your life.
No fucking way.
No. Like, I'm not kidding.
No, I do not believe you.
You will never hear it.
Nope. No way.
No,
got it, Spencer.
Trying to find clean copies of this. People pay hundreds for this thing. And there's good reason for it. But I mean, it's just incredibly recorded. It's a fantastic score. Cool. And the problem was they damaged the master tape. So the LP is still pretty much unbeatable.
The gold standard. Yep.
They did do a really good job on the last CD reissue. So if you love the score, check it out. It's from Quartet Records.
All right. That's it. Casino Royale. Oh no, Luke's got to hate on it. Luke's got to take the final dump. Something. All right,
go for it.
Because I'm mesmerized by Spencer's nonstop talking. Okay, every shot is the same. It's so fucking boring. It's like level. There's no angles in this movie at all. It's just like straight. It's like a two camera sitcom or some shit.
What about the expressionist sequence? That's got all over the place.
The style of this movie is so the slow motion style, it's nothing. Like, it's just not cool at all. Like, I did not, and these are my own personal opinions here. It was just, I find it very dull. Like, it was just very boring and not cool at all. My later watch will be Danger Diabolic, because that is a cool movie. Like, this is the slow motion, and even that weird sex scene or whatever the fuck that was, where it was like, what am I watching? This is okay. I'm done talking.
I will admit that was the joke that I never got until I listened to the commentary and they talked about it, and I'm like, oh my god, is that what that means?
I have faith. Your 101st watch, you're gonna laugh your ass off.
Yeah.
That's it.
But no, the bit where Landis is doing the slow motion and then it keeps cutting to Peter Sellers doing the push-ups. It's supposed to be a joke on the male-female view of sex itself. Like one viewpoint is it's work, and one viewpoint it's like fantasy land or something. And I always thought it was bizarre editing or something. Like, I was like, what happened here? But then I was like, oh, okay. So again, there's always something going on.
All right, all right, for
so
me,
why do you own all those copies?
Me? Oh,
Yeah,
I just own these because of the Bond completion on LD thing, and the DVD is just the one I bought to watch, just to have it, and I bought that mostly because it had the Climax TV special on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, again, like Luke tapped into, it's just terminally uncool. Like, that's a problem. If you're going to make a Bond spoof, you better be cool. And the only moments it kind of flirts with cool is when Peter Sellers is on screen. And that kind of doesn't pull together. So it's just so gaudy and tacky, and I kind of want to reach for some Pepto-Bismol after a little while. So it's like all the elements of the 60s that I don't connect with in terms of style.
That's a good point. So I can understand that, because it's sort of like it's one of those big roadshow films, but that goes on forever, and it's so big and it starts to really drag. So yeah, I can understand that.
I mean, again, I guess as spoofing Bond, it does a good job at making a super long, because it's over 2 hours. You know, they had only had like Thunderball as an excessive Bond film.
Secret agent become misinformed with sex maniac.
Yeah. All right. So number 3, we're moving out of LaserDisc territory here, because there is no official LaserDisc. I don't own it on DVD or anything. Ryan made us stream a movie, so yeah, sorry everybody, but it is available for streaming on some streaming services.
It did apparently get VHS in a few territories.
Okay, there we go.
That's the US,
no, it wasn't. No, it's in rights held, I think.
So we're moving to Italy, where of course, Italy latched on to westerns and of course the spy films, and they kind of like went at spy films with the same gusto that they went at westerns, with a lot of the same gimmickry, etc. They produced a ton of spy films, but the one we watched was Operation Kid Brother, aka OK Connery, aka Operation 007, from 1967, from Albert DiMartino, Ennio Morricone and Bruno Nicolai doing the score, which has a ripping theme song, which is stuck in
your head still.
Terrible. I think it is awful. One of these, or a couple of these, had just these. Yeah, I think that one had the theme that I was.
It just keeps going.
That one's the he.
So great.
He loves me.
Oh yeah.
Feeds me, and he buys me a donkey. Yeah, so it's over the top, but its big claim to fame was that it drew in Bernard Lee, it drew in Lois Maxwell, it's got Danielle Bianchi in it,
Adolfo Celli,
Anthony Dawson. So like all these Bond heavy hitters are in there, and Neil Connery, Sean's brother,
formerly plasterer.
Yeah, who like got in trouble on the job, and then it become a little bit notorious for that. And then they're like, oh, he's got a brother. He sounds kind of like Sean. And then, of course, insult to injury, he ends up getting dubbed in this movie anyways. But
because apparently he was busy or something, and they didn't call him.
Operation Kid Brother, I'm going to have to go out on the record and say, I absolutely adore it. I love that. It's, in fact, I think I like this one the most out of all the films on this entire list.
Really?
I think it's great. I love trashy Italian cinema, and I think this feels the most Bond to me. I think every other movie on this thing is good as like a spoof of a certain extent and a certain feel, but whenever they reference Bond, I just groan. And I'm just like, I forgot. This sucks. Bond is great. This is the only time when it would reference Bond where I'd be like, hey, that's cool. This is kind of Bondian. And it's got technoscope. It's shot well. It's got
the globe trotting.
It's got the globe trotting. It's got the cast. It's got Danielle Bianchi in these amazing orange pants. It's got I mean, so much going on, and it's just fun and energetic. And even my wife was we watched the MST3K version after I watched it like properly, and she was just like, oh, that's clever. Ooh, oh, that's clever. It has things and plots, even the plot machinations of Adolfo Celli trying to take over the evil specter-like organization THANATOS. Like there's things going on. And I love Neil Connery because he's just like put off. He's not interested in being Sean Connery, and he's not interested in being in this movie.
That's called not being able to act.
Yeah, but it's great.
But that's what they needed, and he was just like it. So he
whatever. Yeah, and he just like looked put off and irritated the whole time.
And when he looks certain ways, he looks so eerily close to Sean because he's at that Thunderball age. Like there's moment, and they do his hair like when he looks to the side, especially. And I'm just like, oh god, that looks like the scene by the pool in Thunderball. Oh my god, like it's just eerie.
He looked like a Hanna-Barbera character, but he reminded me of John Saxon the whole time. I'm like, it's John Saxon's brother. What did they? But yeah, I had a freaking blast with it. I've watched this the most out of all these movies. Obviously, Austin Powers I've seen tons of times, but this week I've seen Operation Kid Brother a few times. So, sorry, spoiler. I'll bleep that out. But yeah, it's just, and I mean, it's got some crazy gags, like the fake Lottie Lenya character, is holding a knife and it shoots out across the room and stabs a guy. And then there's this like goofy pulley system in order to steal a person out of it's just inventive, which is what I love about all the trashy spaghetti Westerns. And what I loved about this, I'm excited, Flint, as great as it is, it's pretty leaden. It took me a while. Like even as a kid, the first time I watched it, I'm like, oh, all right, I'm kind of out. And it took me like a couple times to actually watch it and soak it in. But this thing is just fun. I mean, it's not a great film, but it's fun. What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, so it had its moments. It definitely had its moments. But he had the whole like hypnosis thing that he did. That was like
it was great. Yeah, he's not only a plastic surgeon, he's also a hypnotist.
It was like a bad Jedi mind trick almost, like, but pre-Jedi mind trick. So. That's allowable. I did like the bows versus harpoons fight. Like that was pretty ridiculous. Yeah. And this was the second movie because Flint had a scene with bows too. So like we saw lots of bows, and I'm like, I didn't.
Good cavernous villainous lair too. That was fun.
Yeah. And I liked when he was the blind guy, like going through that, like
the nuclear loom.
That is radioactive. It will kill you.
What? They're trying to kill us.
Like
everybody run.
I feel like they tried really, really like over the top hard to justify this in the same like space as the Bond movies. And it's like, you didn't really have to. You've got his brother. Like we bought in right from the get-go.
Yeah.
But
I do love that Adolfo Celli actually watches TV or watches films on women's backs. That was probably like the Bond gag that actually made me laugh out loud.
Yes. Oh, it's like, oh my God, are they really referencing the From Russia with Love titles? Because that's how they were invented. With Robert Brownjohn's wife walked in front of a slide projector, and they're like, "Wait a minute, step back!
It's on your back."
Yes.
But it was okay. It had plastic surgery again, which seemed to be featured a lot. And of course, Connery gets the girl. Which you would expect in a spy film.
And they just call him Neil Connery, which is great.
Yeah. They literally say "Okay, Connery" like how many times?
Oh, so often.
It was okay. It was also just really terrible at times and cheap and such a bad knockoff. But it's charming at least. And you mentioned the MST3K. That is on YouTube if you want to find it.
It is.
How
they
it's allowed
chunks
to be on
of it.
I think it's because the movie's literally in rights hell and no one knows who owns what or how much they can own or distribute. So
it's a classic Joel episode. It's really good. Yeah.
So but it was okay. It was definitely not the worst thing we watched.
Vinny, did you watch it on 2 or 3 times speed, or did you actually?
I would sooner watch Casino Royale again.
Whoa, man, that's rough. Yep.
I guess from the theme song, and then just looking at Connery, just like asleep. It just made me angry seeing the, seeing the Bond, seeing Maxwell and the people coming from the Bond movies. I just felt bad for them. I know she got a ton of money to be in it. She said she made more for that movie than she did in all the Bond movies.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I just felt bad for them that they had to do this with Connery's brother, who can't act. I didn't have fun with it at all until Adolfo Celli wore what I assume influenced Michael Jackson and Eddie Murphy.
Dude, his suit.
This red leather suit. I didn't know what the hell it was. As I was scanning, I had to stop and wait a minute. What is he wearing?
It was like his plan had come to fruition. It's time for cool jumpsuits now.
Yeah, that was wild. So that's the only time I sort of perked up and went, interesting. But he was always just angry. He looked like he was in like an Abel Ferrara movie. Like he didn't look like a fun Bond villain. He just I don't know. It seemed really like hardcore.
At least he got to
That's how
give her
Largo
screen
was
time.
anyway.
Yeah.
He's Sicilian, so I guess that's how they act. But,
Well, that was the nice thing too, is that like the Bond movies are always ripping off, Italy and stealing their actors. Now Italy got to steal them back.
Yes,
so.
yeah. I just was not having it at all from the jump. I don't know in what order I watched it of the 5. But yeah, no good for me.
All right. No bueno. Luke, what do you got?
I loved this movie.
High five, fist bump.
Yeah. Whoa.
Boom.
It was, so I watched it with my wife as well. And we watch a lot of shit movies sometimes because it's just fun to talk through. I mean, it's fun to like question the plot and like what you just make little jokes and whatever, gets through it. And this was a fun one. And yeah, like when that airplane exploded at the beginning, she was like, "Oh, this cost a lot of money. You're like, this was a big movie." It was, it looked good. We saw Italy. It was fun. Like then, that one scene where they go to Spain and at the airport, like they're just having a party, like outside the airport. Like, yeah, okay, this is cool. This movie has a radioactive rug. Like come on. When he goes in and he's blind and all the blind guys are going in there. Oh. He like whispers into the one guy's ear, like just, hey, we're radioactive. We're going.
Yeah.
Well,
they're trying to kill us. Let's go. Everybody run. We can't see where we're going. Run.
That was great. I loved it. And yeah, he was like so his superpowers, I read that as like, oh, he's like Doctor Strange. Like he's a superhero Bond here. He can do this crazy shit. And the plot, so why did they need him? Like, why do they need this? So I get it. This girl was dating this guy who got exploded in the plane, and he might have told her something.
Yeah, she had the information, so he had to data mine her.
She was the vessel.
Right. And then
she died immediately thereafter.
Happened to be working with her.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was convenience.
Yeah, but then they're like, "Hey, we're going to do some fucking some spy stuff. You kind of look like this other guy, who we're not going to say."
Oh no, he's an agent in the organization. Remember, your brother would be very proud.
So so he is. So he's supposed to be like legit James Bond's brother.
Yeah,
his name is Connery.
Neil Connery.
All that was fun, and all that was fun to discuss with my wife. Like, oh, what the hell? This is great. Like, it's so silly. And yeah, it was just a fun watch. Everything you guys said, it was great.
I forgot the machine guns on the ceiling and Adolfo
Oh,
like,
who does that?
He's like, walk in closer, press the button.
This is the best. Oh man.
All right, Spencer, what do you got? Oh, sorry.
Wait, real quick. I didn't think he looked like I don't watch Bond movies all the time, but he did not look like Sean Connery to me. Maybe from
he does in the
up.
eyes, but
Yes,
it's especially the movement, and particularly when he's looking like off to the side and he's got the similar face lines. Like I didn't see it all the time, but there were just moments where he does something and I'm like, oh my God, that's so Sean. Or like he looks to the side and it's like Connery Thunderball era. And I'm like, oh my God.
Just like
to be honest with you,
he was a weird shaped person, I thought.
Yeah.
Just a Coburn.
He's not. Yeah, he's the anti-Coburn. He's not like spry. He doesn't have cool martial arts moves. Yeah. What do you have, Vinnie?
I don't remember many scenes with dialogue for him.
He talked a decent amount, but he had like a
maybe the second half.
The movie.
Yeah, he fell asleep.
I could tell you though, I did not do my research on it. I didn't do my research on it beforehand.
Yeah.
So I didn't know the Neil Connery conceit. So when it started, to me, he looked a lot like him, and then it hit me. Oh, I get it. They probably cast
his brother. Yeah.
It's like the Swayzes and the stuff they used to do in the 80s and 90s. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Was this your first encounter with the kid brother, Spencer?
No, of course. Anybody who's a Bond fan has heard of this somewhere. I will say, I had never sat down and watched it all the way through because every time I tried to look up a version, they were just ungodly, awful pan and scan nightmares, probably from bad VHS tapes or something, because there is no official release. So
yeah, I was amazed the streaming one was.
Where did this even come from?
Letterboxd and
same thing.
Well, there's two floating around.
Yeah.
I found another one. I didn't look at what was on streaming. I found one that was uploaded to YouTube just a couple months ago, and it's NTSC, so it's an hour 45, and it's got the US credits on it. So it has the Operation Kid Brother credits. And the scariest thing is United Artists released this here in the US in 67. And Connery himself was pissed. Like Sean Connery was pissed because they were like, taking advantage of my brother, damn it. And he got pissed at Lois Maxwell and Bernard Lee, like, you're traitors. And then that's when Lois was like, Sean, they're paying us more money for this movie than every Bond movie combined.
Yeah.
And then Sean was like, oh,
I get it.
I'm surprised.
And then his brother was like, Sean, I had fun. And Sean was like, oh.
And then Sean Connery put his pants on while he was filming.
I'm surprised he didn't sue them all.
So good.
So Spencer.
So what I will say is, I think it definitely helps if you're a Bond fan to understand all the connections, and you're going to have a knee-jerk reaction. You're either going to love it for the reasons everybody stated so far and understand that it's obviously not good, and you're going to scratch your head trying to understand the plot and the random jumps and all the craziness, or you're going to absolutely hate it. Like there's not going to be an in-between. But if you have if you see all the Bond connections, so I think it boils down to 6 words. 6 words that will tell you if you love this movie or you hate it. Those words are Lois Maxwell with a machine gun. If that sentence makes you immediately crack a smile just thinking of Miss Moneypenny firing away with a Sten gun,
going at it,
this movie's for you. And I have to say, I was happy to finally see it in a good version. So I sat down, I watched the whole thing. The first 10 minutes, there's not really any dialogue, which is just very off-putting. That theme song gets stuck in your head. Morricone does the score. Everything said so far, I totally agree with. I was amazed at how much I enjoyed it. And Casino Royale 67 is a time capsule. And this one is kind of as well. It's a time capsule of Italian films at the time and how they would cash in on anything that was popular. It's completely wacky, and the fact they actually got Neil Connery, and then they got Bernard Lee, who basically does a crustier version of him. And Lois Maxwell is there, but she gets to fire a machine gun, and they got decent paychecks, and they got a vacation. And Daniele Bianchi is there, and it's great seeing her in something else.
Leather pants.
Those hats, like the knife that shoots the blade out, and then you have Adolfo Celli, who's one of the most underrated Bond villains anyway. And
he gets to do things in this,
and Anthony Dawson gets
time
to do stuff.
Yeah.
I wish he was in it more because I love him to death.
If you watch the MST3K one, it's a lot of that stuff is cut out. The Thanatos machinations and everything.
And they do try to do stuff with plot. So I was like, it's got a charm of its own. No, this isn't a great film, and logically, it makes Casino Royale look like Shakespeare, I would say. But I genuinely enjoyed it. I think every Bond fan should come to it sooner or later, and they need to just release it on video officially, finally, in a decent letterbox version. It'd be cool to see it in Italian, because with all the dubbed films, it's probably totally different. With if you had the Italian track with subtitles, it might be
both
more
on there.
Serious. It might be even kookier. Who knows?
Boutique. Somebody should be able to drop this by now.
Yeah. But I was amazed that because there's 2 versions floating around, and is the one on streaming, is that what titles does it have?
Trying to remember if it had OK Connery or if it was
because
Kid
it
Brother.
seems the one most
Brother.
people
I think it was Kid Brother. Yeah,
it was Kid Brother. So
Yeah.
yes, I guess maybe that's the version I found too, because it didn't have PAL speed up and it was letterboxed. Although
it was letterbox.
like,
Yeah,
it was like super SD, like it was from VHS. So I'm thinking maybe because it had like the late 90s UA logo on the opening.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe they were gonna do it on DVD and just didn't,
just said,
or they found the
Maybe
rights
not.
were bad, so it's just sitting somewhere and somehow it just leaked out. But I was just like, the last time I tried to watch it, the whole image was brown. Like it was pan and scan brown.
Yeah.
The sound was off sync and sounded like it came through a tin can. So I gave up, So I was happy to finally see it. And I'm like, Lewis Maxwell shooting a machine gun. I mean,
it's pretty
machine
cool.
guns in the ceiling. So many Bond instances. The score is pretty great. That theme song is stuck in my head. It's
great.
it's charming. It's completely ludicrous. And you, especially as a Bond fan, you're just crying with laughter the whole time because it's just so silly.
Not
I was crying.
I
was crying.
And yeah, I wish there was a LaserDisc, but luckily the next film that was assigned to us is on LaserDisc, and everyone should be, most of our viewers will be familiar with the Austin International Man of Mystery film from 1997, which of course,
that's not mine. How'd that get there?
Yeah. Of course, my first copy of this obviously was the Snapper Case DVD. That was the first DVD I ever bought. So I bought these LaserDiscs in recent years. Luke knows the score. I actually distinctly remember seeing the trailer for this die on the screen repeatedly in 1997. I don't know if you guys remember Dunkirk when that dropped that first teaser trailer a couple of years ago, and it was just guys on a boat and nothing happens, and the entire theater would just burst out like laughing and making fun of it and going, what the hell is this? Like, this trailer equally didn't work. It was like all the things you don't care about, like a 60s spy spoof coming at you, and it just would end, and everybody like, I'm not going to go see that. And then I saw it after. I didn't even bother to go see it theatrically. I saw it in a hotel room. My parents were like in Boston. I was, just dropping in to visit them because I lived there at the time, and they had it on the hotel TV, and I laughed my ass off. And I realized that I was a fool. I should have seen it theatrically, and I did not. But I since bought
DTS
that
Flexus.
Yeah, I bought that Snapper Case TV. The nice thing about the LaserDisc is they look fantastic, and they have tons of special features. Oh, triple pack there. Tons of the special features from the the DVD, except it doesn't have the cool interactive menus and all that stuff. But
is that a dual disc?
What's that?
2 disc there?
Oh, just single.
Just
single. Yeah, they do pack on a lot of crap onto one disc though.
It's a full-on special edition.
Yeah, it's got the deleted scenes. Of course, the UK people will complain that the extra scenes that are on here on the back aren't edited into the film properly. Lois Childs from Moonraker actually has a bit part in one of the scenes that we got robbed of here in the States. But I guess at some point I'll have to get a Euro cut copy just for completion's sake. But I'm a huge fan. So I mean, of course, it's hard for me to judge the other films against this because I've seen this film probably far more times than I have seen the other ones in it. And but the good news is it still holds up for me because a lot of the humor is poking fun at current things from the 90s, and there's always a possibility it'll get stale as time goes on. Of course, this doesn't have any Chili's baby back ribs references in it like the other films.
Yes,
but but yeah, no, I love it. And of course, this has got it with the weird aspect ratio. They went full Stereo, and they changed it to 2.0 to 1 and opened it up a little bit. I do remember there's the scene where they have the general
scope. They finally did it scope on Blu-ray.
Exactly, when he's like, feed my fish just a little bit. It's funny how his scenes are edited, and then I thought there was something wrong with my DVD. I thought it was stuttering because they timed everything like pack an overnight bag and call my wife and stuff like that. And his dialogue, they had to edit it in like kind of like YouTube jump cuts to make it fit. So all of a sudden he'd be like, and he'd jump over there and it just kind of move around. I was like, oh no, my DVD's broken. I got to go back to LaserDisc. And come to find out it was just edited that way. But yeah, it's still, it's one of those ones that I would watch on my 43-inch rear projection television and like look at the pretty colors. So I've probably seen it more than I even would have watched it as just entertainment. It was just like my go-to, test disc. And then once you're testing it, you got to keep watching it. So I had actually just watched it like maybe 2 weeks before the assignment, watched it again. So Brian, what do you think of the Austin Powers?
Yeah, so I'd say it holds up well. Like, if you're into it, you're gonna enjoy it still. There's nothing that's really kind of off. I did watch all three of them. And there was a Jared from Subway joke in the third one, and that one falls a little flat. But the rest were pretty good. I did do a little bit of comparisons. This is the Hong Kong one with the crazy like label that's visible through the back. It's like a weird 1.75 to 1 transfer.
Interesting.
It's not a good transfer. Like, it really isn't. Like, surprisingly, because at that point I usually they were pretty good, but that one wasn't. And Sam, this
Japanese?
one's open matte.
Yeah, wasn't it Super 35? Get out of here.
So yeah, there's a lot more data at the top. You can tell by the opening credits. That's the easiest way, because like how they frame that.
So it's got like a ton of headroom when people are in dialogue shots. It's just all the dead space.
Yeah, and like the Austin Powers International Man of Mystery like graphic is like really tiny in the center of the screen. Yep.
Yeah, and
I mean, it's like the Snyder Cut.
It is. It's just like the Snyder Cut.
We'll talk about that later. And then it is 95 minutes for the Japanese one, whereas the US one just has all that stuff basically in the extras, which is fine.
Oh, so it has the Euro cut in the Japanese one?
Yeah, it's 95 versus 89. So
it's got the henchmen getting, like the wife getting called when the henchman dies, and
yeah, it's.
You didn't watch it. You lied.
No, I didn't. I just checked the runtime. I didn't watch the whole thing because I watched all the extras on the one. I wanted to look at the picture and the quality, right. But it's nice if you want full immersion. But
fair enough.
The DTS rips way more. So kudos to that. But it's funny if you like that kind of humor. Some of it's over the top, but it moves really well. It doesn't drag. Like, none of the scenes are just like, completely over the top unless they're supposed to be. So
it's got a lot of heart. Yeah, the character's got a lot of heart. Elizabeth Hurley's great, and yeah.
And I think that if you look at it, they could still make one, and I think people would go to it. So it has some appeal still. So yeah. So how about you, Vinnie?
I love these movies. I saw them all theatrically. I remember the second one, I saw it one night, and then like the next night I had to plan an outing for one of our clients at the time. I'm like, we're all going to see Austin Powers. And, it was still sort of, party atmosphere every time you saw that movie in the theater. I watched a bit of it. It holds up really well. The Dr. Evil stuff, I think, is just brilliant. It's just genius. It's so well written, Scotty, just all these little details are just amazing. That opening sequence, I love. That song, I do not get sick of. That I can hear over and over again.
I'm a big Matthew Sweet fan. So the fact that Austin Powers, the character, came out of like the Ming T band with Matthew Sweet in it. It came out of that. Him and Susanna
wish somebody
Hoffs
had recorded those shows where he just came out and was just like,
the
Austin Powers, baby. And that would have been amazing. They just keep going to a nightclub and then just like, who is this? And then he just shows up.
So good.
Yeah, it's great. I don't have any of the LDs. I had the triple Blu-ray box thing, but I think I had that snapper at one time too.
It was essential.
Yeah, and we haven't talked about the women in most of these movies do not fare very well, but here in all the Powers movies, because he's such not that smart, they're always smarter than him, which is rare for those sort of spy thrillers, for the parodies at least. So that's always fun. And Hurley's great, and then Heather Graham was great. Beyonce, like always had these great co-stars.
There's even the Sherry O'Terry bit that got cut out of the movie that's on the DVD where she's not taking kindly to his 60s male chauvinism.
Right. All the jokes seem to still work. It's funny, a friend of mine who we have sons the same age, so we're always comparing those. Right, are you going to show him this yet? Are you going to show him this movie yet? Or is this safe to show? And he would show his kids like Jaws and all this stuff. I'm like, or Die Hard. I'm like, gosh, I haven't shown Die Hard yet. The kid's 11. He's like, oh, we started Austin Powers the other night. He's like, I had to turn it off because penis pumps and
Swedish-made penis pump enlarger. This sort of thing is my bag, baby.
Yeah, all that stuff is pretty out there for an 11-year-old.
I got a story about that later on.
All right.
Yeah.
Good tease.
Yeah. So yeah, all that stuff still works. It's fun. It's just, you look at the cover and you have fun. You know, it's just, it was a nice, this is the last thing I looked at. So it was a nice breath of fresh air after the other ones that I did.
Yeah, I think that was the last thing.
So much.
That might have been the last thing I watched too.
Yeah.
What about you, Luke?
Great.
Is it your bag, baby?
Yeah, of course. I watched it this morning for the first time ever. Just joking. I watched this in the theater.
It just missed me all these years.
Yeah, I never heard of this movie. It's crazy. Is this popular?
What, are the kids into it?
No, I was working at the movie theater back when it came out. And I remember this was one of the movies that I would sneak into just to see any part of it. Like I just, it was great. Like it was, you know, I've always been a big Simpsons fan, and I feel like this still has the same kind of vibe. Like you're going to pause it somewhere, you're going to catch something, or you got to rewatch it a little bit, catch a funny joke. So yeah, I've always, you know, the sequels are, you know, but we're not talking about those. We're just talking about this one right here. I thought it was great. The Tom Arnold scene is like always stayed with me.
I quote that on the regular.
Yeah, I was going to say that one always comes up here and there.
Yeah, I think this is going to sound weird, but it's the first time I've ever heard the phrase "courtesy flush."
Yeah,
never.
Gonna pop an O-ring.
Yeah, and it's so silly. Like, you know, what did you eat? What did you eat? Like,
it's so ridiculous. Yeah. Sounded pretty nasty in there.
Who does number 2 work for? I mean, that's just such. They set it up just so perfectly. You know, making that guy named number 2. It's just the best payoff. You know, it's great. Dr. Evil. You know, it's funny. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and whenever anyone talks about Lorne Michaels, they always use the Dr. Evil voice. You know, and looking back now, it's like,
oh yeah,
it was Michael Myers just doing.
That can work on the show.
One weird thing I saw this morning was, you know, he goes into the egg and he gets frozen, and then they just cut to him in the future. They never really discuss like, oh, I'm going to go freeze myself and then go chase after him. It's I don't know. I found that kind of weird. But then like, why even? Who cares? Who fucking cares? You know, like there's people that there's people that didn't freeze themselves and they're still there. You know, what's his face from Logan's Run is still there. Like he's, hey, what's up? You're back.
Castle Exposition.
Yeah.
Oh, what a name.
Well, he expositions away why that happens. Like, just in case Dr. Evil ever came back, Austin volunteered to freeze himself.
Yeah.
Did he say that? I didn't catch that.
It's the long shot when they're walking into the cryogenic facility.
Talking with the comrade.
Yeah. Okay. I'll take your word for it.
And Vanilla Ice is there.
just you know, talking about Simpson stuff, things you miss. Like I haven't watched it in a long time, but I really when they're looking at the bathroom and the two people walk in and they're like, oh, you get her and I get him, and take their uniforms, and one is a very large lady and another is a very tall. I never caught that before. You know, it's fun to use and catch stuff like that.
And it's such a trope of spy films. Like that's one of my favorite jokes in the whole movie, because you see that in so many spy films. And the suit always fits.
Convenient.
Yeah.
And then one last thing, I got notes here. Sorry. One last thing, like it has every joke that you did as a kid. Like they put them in there, the spyglass and the, you know, holding your hand just over, and the melons, all these jokes are like, oh, wow, this is, and they keep doing it in all the rest of the movies. Like the one scene where he's, you know, doing the stairs down, and the other one.
Yeah. I'll take the elevator
and all this shit. Yeah. That's like, wow, he did it. Like he might as well had like the thumb trick in there too. Yeah, it's a good movie. This was the last one I watched. It was a nice break from all the garbage.
And I gotta say, the one quote you were mentioning, quotes that I want to do all the time, and I do, and sometimes someone plays along, is like, oh, there you are. I'm like, do I know you?
Oh,
no,
yeah,
but that's where you are.
Yeah.
You're there.
He's working the room, baby.
Yeah. All right, Spencer, what do you got?
All right. So I have a bit of history with this because I did see it on original release. And I remember theater was not very packed because this movie made its money on home video. Really, it didn't find its audience until home video.
Lost World was up against, it was
and
kind of period,
the marketing and everything. It didn't really strike until everybody saw it later, and it became a cult movie, and then it became a bigger thing. Because I was amazed when they did the first sequel, because the first one just kind of came and went. But I was very young at the time, and I was already a Bond fanatic, and so it was the family movie. So that was an interesting experience. And due to the advertising, my mom didn't realize, and my parents had no idea like what it was actually. And we already watched SNL. I was allowed to watch, various sketches and segments, or sometimes I was allowed to watch the show. So I knew SNL. I knew all the alums, and they'd already been making the movies and things. So go in, the theater was like maybe half full. I have this recollection of it wasn't full, it wasn't jam packed, but just my parents started, just when all the jokes start coming in, they were just like, what in the world? This was not what we bought tickets to. But I latched on to all the spy jokes immediately. So every time there was a Bond joke, I was laughing hysterically, but I was like the only one in the theater laughing at those. And then when the big jokes came up, because of course a 7-year-old isn't going to get all this stuff. So I was just like, okay, whatever. And then they would, a random task shows up and throws the shoe, and I'm just like I'm on the floor. I'm on the floor laughing so hard, and everybody else has like just a general laugh, and then that's it. And I'm like, it's so funny. It's odd job, random task, anyway. So. And then I saw the sequels, and Austin Powers became a huge cultural thing. But I always remember that that strange experience of seeing it, and my parents not exactly knowing what they bought tickets to, and me laughing at all the spy jokes. So since I'm so big on 60s spy craze stuff, and I find it all fascinating, I know the stuff that they're pulling from. And you can also see they used a lot of improv in shooting these, and so there's like hours and hours and miles of footage of all the stuff they used and didn't use. The first one is the best one because it has that weird magical feeling of it's like a midnight movie, and you can see everybody on camera like, we're actually getting away with this. They're giving us the money to do this. And it has the strongest narrative through line, which it really needs, because unfortunately the sequels, they just repeat the same jokes, add more pop culture references. I love the characters. I love the setup. I love the jokes and the jabs at not just Bond, but pulling from a lot of
the spoofs and
a lot of other things. But there's one film in particular that I think Mike Myers is obsessed with, because he pulls from it, and it was the inspiration for this character, the whole film. And there are so many pulls that I'm starting to think, like, wait, maybe did he pull that from this movie as well? Like, thinking about some of his famous SNL stuff, like even some of the stuff he does in Sprockets, I'm like, wait a minute, that voice, that kind of sounds similar. But there's this one movie that he's a real big fan of that was the inspiration for Austin Powers. And he pulls from it a lot. So I'm like, oh my God. That's what it is. And then when you hear him discuss, it's because he heard The Look of Love on the radio one day coming home from hockey practice. And he was like, what would happen if that guy just woke up in the 90s? And I love the concept. I love the idea. But my problem has always been, I hate how it just constantly will focus on the toilet humor. And I'm like, I need more story beats, because there's more fun in the story. Like, I need more of the wit that there's more wit in the first film than the two sequels combined. That's why the first one is the strongest. And some of the best scenes have no jokes in them. Like when it's Austin and Vanessa having their sort of her fences come down, she lets her hair down, and they just kind of get plastered and play Twister. Like, it's really simple. And they have the dialogue scene on the bed, and that's the key scene of their character arcs and everything. You need that stuff. You need more of that stuff for the comedy to work. So yeah, it's always frustrating.
When you were 7, did you not like the toilet jokes?
Well, I didn't get most of them, but no, I didn't really. I've never been one for toilet humor. I don't know why.
Right. I have a question. So
sure.
I know Casino Royale. Are you saying that Austin Powers is like Peter Sellers? And who are you comparing it to in Casino Royale? What character?
Not a specific character, but a lot of some of the same ideas, some of the same DNA sort of filtered over into it. And
great. Okay.
when it's just when you really start to just look at the whole atmosphere of the spy craze, which Casino Royale is like the total.
What,
like
you talked about his voice. Who is he like? What voice is he stealing from?
It's just something. One day I was thinking about sprockets, and all of a sudden it made me flash to the German expressionist scene where you have the Frau and the other guy who's I guess is it Pepe, I think, where he's supposed to sound sort of Peter Lorre-ish, and then all of a sudden I'm like, well, wait, she's in the black turtleneck and she's all quiet and everything, and then just suddenly I got a Sprockets vibe. I'm like, don't tell me he's been obsessed with Casino Royale all these years. But anyway, I wish there was more. Every time I go back to all three of them, I'm like, I love the concept, I love the idea, but I'm just like, I wish there was less focus on like the super goofy stuff. I could use some. I could use more
funny.
Well, I wish if
it's all the kids stuff. It's every kid's. It's the ultimate kid as adult movie. Like it has every joke that you'd said as a kid, including the toilet humor stuff.
Speaking of toilet humor,
I'm probably slightly the wrong audience because
I will. Yeah, sorry. I will quote, "Evacuation comes to myself in the bathroom as a grown man on the regular." So yeah, if I ever have an intermittent moment, I will say evacuation come. There you go. Sorry, it's out there. People know now.
So before we move on to the best movie, a couple more notes I had. Shoot, what was I talking about? Oh, so the Seinfeld.
I think you should. Yeah.
So there's two characters from Seinfeld. Did you catch them? Who were they?
Soup Nazis, the
dealer, isn't he? Yeah.
He's the dealer, and then the head of the UN is Babu Bhatt, right?
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention too. I've been showing so many Beavis and Butthead things. Beavis and Butthead are on this film as well.
And then his shirt was basically the pirate shirt. Come on, man, that was.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
Really shirt.
Yeah. And the last little note here. I know you talked about women in the movie. Watching it this morning, the only thing I caught was like, oh, so if I like a girl, I just got to harass her enough, and then she'll for me. Hey, this is easy. I can do this.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's like what every 12-year-old thinks, right?
Eventually, it's endearing. Yeah. All right, let's move on.
One quick second. I gotta say, transfer on this thing is really good.
It's gorgeous, right?
I'm because the Blu-ray, it's a new scan. It looks nice, has grain. It's in 235, but really nice LD. Really great special features package. I gotta say, probably my favorite thing in the whole movie are the psychedelic interludes. With Ming T, and I love the BBC song.
Crazy faces
and of course, my favorite Austin Powers thing is the
little
It's the stuff like that. But I gotta say, the commentary track, if you haven't
really
listened to it, it's just Mike Myers and Jay Roach talking like normal people and explaining how they built all this. And again, that feeling of, or we're getting away with this. And I have to say, I enjoyed the commentary track just as much as the movie. Like it's a really good commentary track. So check it out if you haven't. It's a lot of fun.
I do recommend that as well.
One more thing. There's depth to this movie. He's acting his ass off. His facial expressions throughout the whole thing. It's great. It's blow up. Come on. Why have we not talked about that? It's basically him taking the pictures and everything. It's a blow up.
And that's like a bit of what Matt Helm and there's Jason King. It's like this amalgam of so many different
things. And that's what makes it great. It's not just one thing. It's just everything back then.
All right.
The humor is good.
And there's plenty of judo chops.
Spencer, you had already. You said you were already a Bond fan when you saw this in the theater at age 7.
Yeah.
I don't. Does not compute. I don't remember 7.
Yeah, no, I remember exactly. Yeah, it was. I rented Live and Let Die. That was my first video I ever rented, like specifically.
But you can't rent a movie at 7. Like you just said to your parents, "Can you get me Live and Let Die?"
Yeah, that's literally what I gravitated towards because the art, and that's what did it. And I was about 5. Yeah,
but you saw marathons on TBS or something, right? As a kid.
Yeah, religiously every Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
would
back in
tape
my
them,
day,
I would try and get the VCR to work. That's how I learned how to work a VCR, because I was like, I must record Bond, and I accidentally recorded over my mom's Beatles anthology tape, and that was not a good day.
I'll hook her up.
We had the curse in that it was only available as, of course, obviously when Free Eyes Only and everything dropped, that was always on HBO or Spotlight or Showtime. But the older films, it was only on the ABC Movie of the Week, and that was it.
That
and
I
those
remember.
those aired late, and it was just basically me yelling at my parents to let me stay up late enough, and then maybe catching like him skiing off, Rick Sylvester skiing off the cliff, and Spider Love Me, and that's as far as I could ever get. It's like the first 5 minutes, and you're like, "You're going to bed, you little punk." Yeah. So
the only memory I have is of the rolled up Playboy. I don't know which movie it was.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Yeah. So yeah, but I would not have. The fact that you had seen multiple Bond movies by age 7 is remarkable.
Yeah, that's I started early.
Let's
007. 007. Okay.
Let's shut this down with the best film.
Whoa! Yeah, everybody got
ever made. Ready? Yeah, Ryan sent these to us. Yeah, let's count down.
I left mine sealed. It's in the closet.
3, 2, 1. Reveal.
No, it's somewhere else.
Bask in the glory
of never
it's so good.
Never mind.
It's in a stinky plastic case. The mark of distinction. You get that odor when you open it, and you're like,
"Yeah, this is like
bootleg DVD."
Yeah,
bootleg.
Ryan discovered this from straight to video, early 2000s. Looks like it was shot on video with the Swedish bikini team, who everybody remembers in all those bikini events or from beer commercials
from the early 90s.
From the 90s.
The Olympics? Were they in the Olympics?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, they were in the Nagano or something,
bobsled,
right? Yeah.
Or woman bobsled.
So yeah, they're in this film, which is again a very Charlie's Angels-esque, Bond-esque film, but also wearing a lot of Spice World on its sleeve. To be sure,
yeah.
But strangely drags in other actors that have like careers. People that William Hope. I mean, he's like one of the major guys in Aliens. Shows up running a bikini contest. I'm like, Gorman is in here. Run a bikini contest. Bruce Payne of Passenger 57 fame is their Charlie, essentially, Mr. Blue, the guy that's sending them on their missions. And then Vincent Marzello, who was in Spy Who Loved Me and did some Bob the Builder work and was in Never Say Never Again, is in here too. And again, it's just amazing. And of course, if you can see, there's a little John Rhys Davies there.
There's a lot.
Of course, a Bond actor himself from Living Daylights. And he's actually in the film more than 5 minutes. I was expecting him to die in the opening. But yeah, these bikini agents, they're not just voluptuous ladies. They're also post-feminist feminists, not that old feminism. They're into this new style about making teenage girls dress up like hookers, I guess is their thing. And but they have a lot of laser weapons, which is great, and laser weapons that also make you vomit. They're like laser sonic vomit weapons.
Oh man.
And it's a movie. Ryan, tell us about the origins about this movie. Did you get a commission for this?
So I remember we had a late night chat about Bond spoofs on our messenger chat, and this one came up, and I'm like, well, I got to see if I can find this. And lo and behold, there were copies in the Netherlands on eBay. There were 5 of them. For $1 a piece.
Oh my god!
And the combined shipping was free.
Only 5.
Yeah, the only 5 they ever made.
Sealed. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna get these, and when they show up, you guys are gonna get a copy.
I wish I could have seen the guy's face, whoever got that order.
Yeah, they're finally buying them.
I told
they bought 5.
They wanted them to go away, and they finally did. Some crazy American.
You could have just thrown them away.
I know.
But
$1 each.
And you probably can't even see it on the camera, but the little logo there says free distributors.
I saw that when I took the plastic off, and I got that cheap plastic smell that's only on the terrible cases. For
like maybe some HK bootlegs.
And then, but the real kicker, when you look at the back, you see Dolby Digital.
Yep.
You see PAL. You see it's supposed to have full screen and scope. Guess what? It's PAL
4:3.
It's 4:3, but the title sequence is letterboxed. That's what they're saying. And
5.1.
5.1. That's not 5.1.
Nope.
I engaged modes just because I'm like, is this somehow Matrix? Let me see. So you could watch this movie. If you Matrixed it, the mix is so bad, the voices just go everywhere. So then it's like you're surrounded by
supermodels or
trust me, it can get crazier if you do that.
Yeah, but there's people involved in the making of this film that had careers. Like
the budget was apparently $5 million, if Wikipedia is to believe. Wow. And I'm like, oh my god, who spent money in this?
This came out right after Lord of the Rings, so it's not like John Rhys Davies was hurting. Like,
it's interminable. It just never ends. It just keeps going. It has no structure, and
it doesn't make sense.
Plot threads that go nowhere.
Sure,
all of a sudden, wait, who is the leather nun? What?
Yeah, what's going on?
Let's talk about the Swedish bikini team a little bit.
Yes. They're not the same ones from the commercials. Apparently,
Nope,
different people altogether.
How many other countries have bikini teams? Does anybody?
Fair enough.
I believe it's just Sweden.
Just the one.
Shout out to Seth.
One, of course, gets killed by a woman eating plant in the first 10 minutes. So.
Slow down. So the opening sequence has 4 of them, like the cover, and then it goes to 5, and they're like Bond-like musical intro sequence.
Which is
of course
letterbox quality.
Oh, that got stuck in my head. Oh my god!
And then it cuts to the 5th one. Luke, do you want to take this part? What happens to the 5th bikini team person?
Okay, so that's great. She is doing something. She's researching plants, right? And then she goes and finds a fucking Pokemon of some kind. And this is what we're talking about?
Yep.
And what?
Yeah.
And I don't know. Some guy is following her.
Yeah.
Touch it. And then the best part is when she gets eaten by this thing, like drags her in, and then she seems to have sex in there.
It fillets her and then kills her.
Yeah, because it's the
woman
what
plant.
Like that's what that means.
And then it kills her.
Nothing about this character, and then it's just she's dead, and then they really mourn her, like, oh yeah, she died. Okay, whatever. Let's go to her.
The funeral was great.
Yeah. But they mourn her with a blow-up doll.
Yes, they have to go to that shop to get the coffin, and
that's cardboard.
Yeah, I know.
And then they all have. He shows up. He's got the martinis set up, and they all go like,
yeah.
And then that's what pops the hole in it. Like what?
But before they even mourn her, they're knighted by
Queen
commander.
Good Queen lookalike.
Yeah,
it was good.
High quality. Yeah.
So she's off getting killed by a Pokemon and getting knighted at the same time.
Can Swedish bikini team stresses get knighted, or is that a thing?
Yeah. Yep.
What were they wearing when they got knighted? Like,
and then what? Someone gets plastic surgery to look like their boss, but then that doesn't really matter.
They go nowhere with it, but then at the end, it's like, wait, is that guy?
That him? Or is that the real Blue?
That's the twist.
Yeah.
What?
Who cares?
There's a computer nerd who's into IT and stuff, so that's
I am computer nerd.
Yeah.
He had the best line. I wrote down his line.
All right. Well, how was your experience, Vinnie?
It was awful. But
I like your walking.
It
was awful.
I appreciated the art direction on Blue's office. I thought that was good.
Okay.
They're committed to the blue. That's where all the money went, I guess. Blue file folders, desks, and whatnot.
Blue.
They always wore the same thing. They always wore the same clothes, which is cool. They matched. But the terrorist kid is just sort of in the park, and he's struggling with what to do. And he says, in voiceover, I think, right? Or does he just say it out loud to no one? He says, "Do I really want to kill innocent people?"
Yeah.
He says it out loud.
He says it out loud.
He just says, "I am a terrorist. I am not a sissy boy."
Yeah.
No, he doesn't
That
say
was it.
A. He just says, I am terrorist over and
I am
over again.
terrorist. Yes, I am terrorist. Not a sissy boy. Did someone call him that?
No one called. No.
In
That was
another
him.
movie, maybe.
Yeah, the backstory, because it keeps like making references like there are previous movies. Like this is part of a series.
It's
And
like
I'm
the fifth adventure.
wait,
yeah.
Was there another movie I missed?
In the
And it's
fourth
like,
one,
nope.
they called me a sissy boy.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
there was like what, one bikini the entire time? Maybe.
Yes, they do not wear a bikini in this movie.
They do at the end credits.
No,
Doesn't count.
Because that's
I'm gonna
them at
say
the
no.
end credits. Because remember, because I guess they shot it at the same time as the bikini competition because it's that same stage and they're out there, and then it's like here they are in bikinis finally.
Yeah, and there's
I must
other
have
people in
stopped it way
bikinis.
before that.
Yeah.
Don't remember that.
Oh, I watched
just
the whole
yawned.
thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I have to watch this, I'm gonna see the whole
gonna
darn
do it.
thing
What was the reason for them judging a bikini contest when they're supposed to be
Phil, the-
spies?
because they're the bikini
Pat
team.
out
They,
Yeah,
they
It's like
really
PR.
know it. Yeah.
Like I thought they were
They're
going to
the only
recruit a
one-
fifth member or something again from the bikini
Yeah.
contest. I'm like,
They
oh,
don't
maybe
need
there's
it.
some logic. No.
She was
was a-
dead
it was
weight
a-
the entire time.
It was an aborted attempt at an early reality show about bikini contests.
Right? Yeah, they were in on the ground floor. Ah.
Okay.
Wow.
Times.
I've got some notes.
All right, fair enough.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Let us-
I loved it. This was so glad it was good.
It was much better than Cats.
When you see that Pokemon plant kill that, I'm like, okay, we're in it.
You
Let's
got my
do
money.
this. So I love the opening scene where the plot of this movie. I love the opening scene with Reese Davies and the other guy, and they're just eating
Who's
pizza.
also been in actual movies too. Yeah, I
Okay.
forgot his actor's
That was
name.
so
but yeah.
random. They're just sitting there, and there's a pizza box, and it's
Yeah.
like John Rice Davies. There he is. He's just sitting there. I'm like, what?
And so they're supposed to be the terrorists, right? Like they're supposed to be this organization that the guy leaves from. Like he steals money and whatever, and they're just like schlubs. Like they just eat pizza and don't erase my video games. What's going on?
We don't even know who they are at the beginning. They're just there.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Don't erase my games,
Yo, my games, my mad
She's like,
VR.
Don't erase my video games.
Oh, my EverQuest.
Don't make me vomit on the floor." Which
So
we got
much
the plot
vomiting.
point.
About that.
With
So
those
much
things, it's like
Okay.
everybody's like, "No, don't make me puke again."
Those poor guys had to hold whatever that was in their mouth.
Yeah, for that grand
Yeah.
moment. Yeah.
It's terrible.
So okay, so I did 2 seconds of research as well on, and there is a Swedish bikini team. There is nothing. It's just from the Budweiser.
The beer
commercial.
commercials. Yeah.
Yeah, that's make a movie. Let's do it.
10 years later.
Where was Spuds McKenzie when we needed them?
Oh, that movie's coming out next year.
Excellent.
So, yes, it was very Spice Girls, but
Yep.
I felt like they were not individuals at all. Like they were just like 5 people
Yeah.
moving together.
All
And
right.
acting together. They had no like I'm the computer. No special.
Yeah, no Fox
Right.
Force 5. Yeah.
Right.
They did have one distinction. They all had completely different line readings. That was the
Yeah.
only distinction.
And wasn't Vendela was one of them, right? She was like a pretty big supermodel at the time. So, yeah. High quality.
So my favorite from the terrorist. So okay, let's talk about the terrorist kid. So he gets away from them. He steals the money because he wants to make more money. He wants to turn the 5 million into whatever. So he has this bomb. So he buys it from this bomb maker guy. He gives him a bad bomb, right? He fills it with something. He doesn't do it.
The yeast formula.
Yeah.
But he
Disrupt
doesn't
the
know that.
plutonium.
The kid doesn't know that. He goes and puts it on top of Big Ben, and then it doesn't go off. But then later on, they say, "Oh, he's a good guy. He didn't know that. He didn't know it was bad."
Felt bad about it.
Yeah.
Somehow he got all the way up to Big Ben and planted it there, and then
But he
the
pushed the
bikini
button.
team could barely get there.
But he
No,
regretted
it was, on,
Luke.
it was on
Yeah.
a timer, remember?
Yeah.
And he lost
the car
the thingy.
fob
He
timer they
lost
had for it.
Yeah, but he lost it. He didn't have it, remember? He couldn't turn it off because it got lost.
Still, he's bad. He's bad.
I
Too.
know.
I loved it when he was a fan of the Swedish bikini team. Just sees him in a club and just
Yeah.
starts dancing with them.
They gave him a signed photo at the, not even
Yeah.
them, like the money penny gave him like a signed photo. to remember them by.
Leather nun. I loved a little leather nun. I have no idea what that was about.
I watch it with my wife, and she's like, "Oh, she's the leather nun." Yeah.
Or that was Interpol, where they just had that sign hung on the outside of the building.
My wife's review is it would have been better if it was just a straight out porno, but yeah, it was like,
or if any of them wore bikinis at all, except for the end.
Right.
You got to watch it again, Luke.
I will. I'll do it.
Inspector, Roger that. Roger that.
All right. So out of all these, all right, go on. You got more notes.
Sorry. Yeah, you already mentioned it, the blue stuff. The big thing about him getting the plastic surgery, and then they'd never, whatever. You already talked about that.
Never followed up.
That's all I got.
So, all right. All right.
I think the worst line in the entire movie was when I think it was Double O was like, finally get to know what the double O is for, and I'm just like,
groan.
It was so bad.
You only groaned then. You weren't. Well,
yeah, there was a lot of
no, but I just like that one I wrote down because I'm like, oh god.
And there was the 36D, and then the was it dirt mounds shaped like boobs or whatever. Like
very subtle.
I like
subtle.
The kid talking about, so the kid was so dumb he was buying this bomb to kill people, and he doesn't know what line of sight is. Like I was like, oh my god, come on. Like he's just, what is
I am computer geek.
I am computer geek. Yes. Thanks, Ryan.
It felt like it was never going to end. That was another fun part. Like, it's like I look and I'm like, this is over, right? It's only 90 minutes. I'm like, I'm 30 minutes in.
There's like another plot.
There are no special features. I just want to
no, it has a trailer. It has a whole reel of trailers. Did you watch those?
No, they're bad movies.
But they're actually quite entertaining because the trailers are terrible. It was better than the movie itself, which is not saying much.
This is good.
So another thing is, I talked about what's his face, Rhys Davies. He is not like phoning this in at all. He is he's acting just like he would act in anything else.
He cashes that check. He acts for you.
Yeah.
Like I could have sat through 90 minutes of him and Irish buddy stereotype, like just things just sitting in the hotel room. I'm like, no, please, can we just stay with them? At least this is
that
sensible.
guy was in, like Ballykiss Angel and In the Name of the Father and like actual products. So
it's like it was just bizarre. And I'm like, what am I sitting through?
Why did my friends
I put
with
this disc in my player? Why did I excite? I shouldn't have signed for this package.
I mean, it cost $1 and $10.
How much did the shipping cost?
$10. It came in 2 envelopes with stamps on them, like handwritten envelopes.
No refunds.
Oh, yeah, they're worth a hell of a lot more now. Once this drops,
we're building it up.
What did Customs say when they got it and they opened it just to look?
It was so lightweight. They probably just scanned it like this poor soul.
All right. So out of all 5 of these movies, these wonderful films that we've talked about, what's your favorite?
Well, come on.
You have to take Austin
Powers. Throw Austin Powers out of here.
All right. Yeah. All right. Austin Powers off the table. What's your favorite?
I got to say Flint then.
All right.
Oh, Flint,
of course. I know what Spencer's going for.
Jesus.
Flint is very close. I adore Flint. Yeah, I've seen it, a billion times, but this, just there's so much.
All right. My favorite, aside from Austin Powers, is Operation Kid Brother.
Yeah.
Okay.
Flint is right there, though.
That's been the surprise discovery of this whole show is that there's a lot to like in there. There really is.
I was surprised too to discover that there was Neil Connery.
Everyone was surprised.
Yeah, everybody's heard of it, but very few people have actually sat down and watched it. So we're
that was
treading new ground.
Like, I wanted to make sure we could find a legitimate way to watch it because it's like, watch a YouTube link and talk about it. That's not cool.
Yeah, because there was no Norwegian DVD copy.
I tried.
So I gotta ask, what is everybody gonna do with their copies? I guess
it's like a trophy. I have to keep it.
I have the instructions. I put them inside because I'm like, I must remember the horror.
Vinny, you should put it behind you as that one kind of piece of piece of flair to finish it off,
or like in case of emergency, break glass.
On the mantle.
Never
That's
go
my
to-
grandma's picture.
Vinny's got his on eBay right now. Go look, Ryan. I bet you'll see it.
It's
The
not
only
Jay
copy
Vin.
in the
because-
U.S. for sale.
My alert hasn't
When I
gone
go
off yet.
to when I go to Bikini Con, I want to get it signed. So.
Good. Yeah. I'll see you there. I'm sure next year we're going to be up and running. All right, let's talk some LaserDisc.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, hey,
All
2.5
right, we're-
hours later.
Yeah, let's do some LD, or maybe I'll have to split this into 2 movies or 2 episodes, but
2 movies.
yeah, LaserDisc spins, recent spins, limit to 5. Let's
Oh,
do
geez.
it.
I forgot the spins.
All right. Some of these are pickups because I've been in the bad habit lately of watching the things that I'm picking up. So just to see if they're messed up or not, or if it's just something exciting and I want to watch it. Luke sent me a couple discs, so I had to watch this one immediately after getting out of the mail.
Oh.
Japanese copy of Down by Law. I have the US copy, which of course DADC Austria or DADC USA press, not Austria, and it does have a little bit of rot. So watch this one, which is letterboxed, even though it wasn't advertised as such. And it does have, interestingly, the Japanese subtitles are on the side of the frame and they're not on the bottom, which is different. But yeah, and I think it was it only was it digital audio or was it only analog? I think it was only analog audio. But yeah, I had to watch this, and
What's
good
going
stuff.
on there, Bob?
Made my afternoon. We all scream for ice cream. It's really cool jacket art and
Love
nice
that movie.
stuff. Yeah. So what's that? And then I got another lot that we'll be talking about later, and this happened to also pop up on LDF a lot randomly. A old crappy copy, but of course they
Ooh.
never reissued. Foul play. Yeah, this is like Disco Vision territory, old Paramount stuff. This is one of the films that I would watch
Bar.
on my top loader VCR, at my dad's place over and over and over and over again back as a kid. So I have not actually seen it since the 80s, so I had to spin it up, and it didn't have any rot, so thankfully. And keeping it Chevy, got a copy of Memoirs of an Invisible Man at the archive when I went down to visit there, and then 2 days later I got another copy in a lot. So
That's how it happens.
yeah, I was like, oh, I got to pick this up. I never see it, and it's only a couple bucks. And then 2 days later, I got another copy, and
Now
WEA
you're
pressing.
right?
Yeah, and this is one of the films I rented on LaserDisc from my local, LaserDisc rental shop, and I remember having a really good time with it. And it had been a little while since I've seen it, but John Carpenter kind of stretching his legs a little bit, doing something a little bit different. Some really cool effects that still are interesting. The office building that goes partially invisible is still just a really fun visual effect. And Sam Neill's great in it too, as the guy hunting down the Invisible Man. I really enjoyed that film. And what else? I had to get Miami Vice. There was a minty copy, and of course I own this on DVD and Blu-ray, etc. But this is just the pilot, where Tubbs and Crockett are introduced to one another. This is pre-Castillo as their chief, but so many great elements in it. And of course it's got In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins in there as well, and just the most pink cover possible.
I was about to say, finally, pastel universal jackets actually fit the material.
I know, right?
It's like finally.
So I need to get the season 2 movie as well. And as I promised before too, I did I forgot, I did do some music stuff. I'll do it quickly. Legends of Rock, yes, which was a lot of their music videos, and the same kind of talking head stuff that they filmed when they did the Yes Years documentary, which is great. And I totally didn't realize that Trevor Rabin wrote what track was it? Love Will Find a Way for Stevie Nicks, and that was supposed to be a Stevie Nicks song until Alan Waite heard the song. I was like, nope, we're doing it. And so yeah, he had to tell Stevie, sorry, we're gonna record it on Big Generator. So I got that. Sadly, another WEA pressing and a little bit of rot on side 2. And then I did, as promised, finish the Beatles anthology box. I wrapped up disc 8 and had a great time with it. So. What do you spin, Ryan?
Well, I didn't spin too many other laser discs. I tried to keep it focused. I did watch the second Austin Powers, which
Feel
It's
the late
gotten-
release flex.
Yeah,
it's
thanks.
gotten really hard to find. And I gotta say, this AC3 mix really pops. So
Yes,
EX.
yes, it does.
It's got a
it's
center
really good.
Bass on it. Whoa.
Yep.
That is not on the Blu-ray. I can tell you that.
Yeah, but really, really good pressing. I just enjoyed the hell out of it. Like, the first one's good. I really, really like the mix on the second one. And then I did start this. I got so burned out because I'd watched every Austin Powers movie, Flint, Kid Brother, all of that like I just had to stop. But the color really pops on this. Like, this is a great transfer. Both of these this is the Japanese release. Each one had their own jacket inside. The subtitles are below the picture, so you don't have to worry about those getting up into the picture. Really, really nice. So I highly recommend if you can find a copy.
That burnout you're talking about is why the spy craze ended, by the way, because everybody got that way. So by 67, that's why You Only Live Twice made less money, and that was it.
I think it's also because we watched Never Say Never Mind.
Well, that just automatically.
Yeah, and that sets the bar so high. I mean,
I did get a chance to watch this. It was completely forgettable.
Oh, what about Billy Drago? Was he amazing?
He was kind of like a bit character. He was like a cop who didn't really want to help James Brolin.
Oh, okay.
And
so she's not scared.
Really, like, Brolin's the only like main character. The rest really aren't. It's just,
I'm in here.
It's all over the place. I can see why this didn't get released in the US. I don't know if ever. I think there's a Greek DVD, but it's something. You don't find it, don't have to. You're not missing it unless you're trying to be Tracy Lords complete. And then I did watch one other thing. I watched the 5 Faces of Darkness.
Transformers flex.
Yes. This is the hardest to find Transformers disc, I guess. I don't know. Apparently they didn't make as many as they should have. And the transfer is fantastic. The plot, not so much, but what do you expect? Post movie with like all the same movie characters and none of the voice actors or writers. So it was quite enjoyable, and I really, really enjoyed it. But it was not. It brought me back because it'd been a while since I'd seen it. So it's completely, all over the place and incoherent almost. So that's what I watched on LaserDisc. Vinnie.
I'm Seth this week without my disc, but insert stills here.
Not making work for me.
I watched Our Man Flint I watched the last half on disc. And then a few weeks earlier, I watched Trigger Effect, which I had gotten in a lot. And it's just a movie I had never seen. It was always out there, and I missed it in the 90s. And it was pretty good. It was fun. It was, clearly inspired by Monsters of Doom, Maple Street. Even had a great homage there of the 2 street signs, Maple Street and Willoughby, both Twilight Zone references. So as a Twilight Zone fan, I really appreciated that. Kyle MacLachlan, Elizabeth Shue, sort of the height of her powers. Dermot Mulrooney, not Dylan McDermott. It was cool.
Yep.
It was a nice little pre-cell phone thriller, because that's a movie that just does not exist.
Yeah.
Cell phone era. These people have no power. LA is down. They don't even know why, because they don't have news. So they have no idea why this is even happening. So that, creates a lot of the tension and the drama. Michael Rooker's in there, really cool part. So yeah, those are my 2 spins.
Excellent. Luke, what you been watching?
We're doing just watches now, right?
Yeah. 5.
I've got some watches but you only want LaserDisc watches, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Sorry to confuse. We're mixing it up every episode.
Oh, so it's just LD now. Okay.
Yeah, just LD. Okay. Yeah.
But we are going to talk about non.
Yeah. Well, it'll be at like 1 a.m, but
hold your beta.
My usual time.
Yeah, my beta. Okay. Not much here. I feel like I'm forgetting some, but I'll just go over a little bit. Been trying to cover some cartoons, and this is one where she doesn't want to watch any of the old stuff, But then if you put it on, she'll kind of get mesmerized.
Yep.
So this has been fun. I have the complete set of these. Always a favorite. It's pretty good.
It's hard to get all the LDs. I think I'm missing one.
Yeah, I've got them all. They're back there.
Nice.
Let's see. I'll do this one first. I threw this one on. I'm not sure how. I've never watched it before. Rock and Roll High School.
Oh, nice.
I love the Ramones, and I love that character who's the rock girl, and
Riff Randall.
Yeah, she throws the record on, and I was surprised that the Ramones were in it for so long, and I love. I've never seen it before. It was great. I know this has come up a lot, this disc and this movie, but the guys from the
Paul Bartel and
Eating Raoul, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and they're also in like Chopping Mall for a second.
Yeah, and Mary Warrenoff from all his stuff too.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great movie. This one I threw on, not knowing that it is a good WandaVision tie-in, because we're all watching, most of us are watching WandaVision, is Stay Tuned.
Oh, yeah.
Japanese Stay Tuned, which is all of, it's just about this guy, John Ritter, who loves TV. Like, he's just obsessed with TV. He did not do so well in life, and his wife is doing better, and the devil comes and he sells his soul, and he gets sucked into hold on, I have a visitor.
What's that Japanese? I think it's Channel Adventure. I was trying to read it. I think it's called Channel Adventure.
Oh, interesting. It's interesting. I read up on it, I guess Tim Burton was supposed to direct it, but he opted out. But there's still some Tim Burton feel into it. It wasn't great, but it was, it was what it was.
It's been a while.
My mom got me.
Okay.
My mom.
I have a visitor. Hello, this is my daughter. Say hello.
Hello.
Say, hey, my name's Ren. Okay. All right, let's see. She's good. Hey, let's show Ryan. Show Ryan what you got.
Ooh, Transformer.
Oh, nice.
Optimus.
Yeah.
Nice.
It is right there.
Okay.
I'm going to open it.
Okay, you open it. All right, I'll do it in a little bit, okay? All this stays in.
Yeah, all right, fair enough.
All right, next one. Just to get a palate cleanser from the craptastic that was Casino Royale.
Yeah.
Hold on. There's a lot of
I knew one of those was coming.
Hold on.
Quick, steal those LDs while he's away.
You don't have enough Casino Royales.
Yeah.
We'll stock.
She's the LaserDisc Air there. She's going to get all this.
Nice.
So, all right, what I threw on last night. I've been collecting a lot of Criterions lately, but I threw this guy on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, excellent.
Nice.
Yeah, the Criterion of Dr. Strangelove.
Which version?
Yes, but say which pressing do you have?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see.
You got to check the bit marks.
Catalog number. Yeah.
I'm not doing that shit. I don't know.
It basically does it.
Come over and
If it's the original, it's got the screenplay excerpts that got removed.
Yeah.
The what inserts?
Screenplay excerpts. It'll say it on the extras on the back.
Yeah, it's in the special features.
Screenplay?
I do not see it.
Okay.
Yeah, you probably have the second one then, because the second one's a lot more common.
Okay. So I was watching it. I think it's warps. I think something's going on because
No,
not the warp.
Have you guys had that before with this? It might be my player. This sucks. But 12, 15 minutes in, it just stopped. The whole thing. I've never really had that happen before.
I've had, usually it goes crazy at the end of a side when it's warped really bad.
Yeah. And then other discs are fine, but just that one for whatever reason. I mean,
all right.
I threw this one on afterwards.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
This
Beautiful
movie,
jacket.
This movie is amazing. This movie is great. Made in 1964. I love George C. Scott. He's the best character in there. The way he talks to his secretary girlfriend. I love it.
Tell you what I'll do.
Yep, that's it. That's about it. No big ones there. That's all I've been watching. I got some better stuff later.
Keep it in your pocket.
Yeah.
All right, what have you been watching, Spencer?
All right, so just keeping it to disc. So of course, if you watch the first, you have to watch it in like Flint. And this again was my first time seeing it on LD. Used to seeing it on DVD because I didn't get the Blu-rays. Just like the first one, pretty nice transfer. Early widescreen for Fox and gorgeous jacket because he uses the original art and also matching awesome gatefold.
Sick.
Just look at that.
Yours looks nice too. Good condition.
This one's in really minty shape. Like my copy of our manflet, it's got a little wear, but this one is perfect. Again, really nice because it's earlier, so not as many chapter stops. They do the cute thing of the end trailer. On our man Flint, they have the in like Flint trailer, and on this one, they have the our man Flint trailer. So just advertising, hey, go buy the other one. Which
clever.
They used to do that more often. I always thought that was cute. Although it's like I want to see the trailer for the movie I just watched.
Those are probably pricey too when they dropped because Fox gatefolds were expensive. So
yeah, and this is because I think it's always supposed to be Die Hard was their first letterbox release, and that was like 89 or something like that. So this is 90, so this is just right after that. So with this era, you don't know what you're going to get, but it was surprisingly not super noisy, not tons of aliasing, looked really nice, had cue changeover dots, nice sounding mono. The only thing with these, there's a bit less color than what you get on the DVD, but other than that, they look remarkably good for their era. So I was very pleasantly surprised because when you look at an LD, you don't know what it's going to look like. You just don't know if you're going to be in for a night of aliasing city or what.
Yeah, and some of those Fox ones, like you said, are just kind of blah.
Yeah, but they look pretty good. But of course, when you build a decent setup, you're like unlocking LD potential. So it's not what like we've talked about before. Like Widescreen Review had a setup, but then like we have gone way beyond.
You've got better stuff now.
And speaking of that, this was the title I threw on and was so amazed by the transfer. I looked up the Widescreen Review and was stunned when they only gave it a 4.5. And I'm like, what were they smoking? Here's my late release flex.
Nice.
This is one of those I can't believe I found at an amazing price. I think this was the last disc that New Line put out in 1999. So they did a couple more in 2000. But this is literally the last disc they did for 99. This goes for crazy money. The transfer on this thing, the transfer on the first one I was really surprised. I was like, wow, this is a nice looking LD.
It is. Yeah.
It's like, nice top all around the board. This one is reference God tier. Like this is new top 10 for me, and you guys know me. I go crazy for transfers. This thing looks stunning. This thing is like, I'm watching a DVD, right? You forget it's an LD till you hit the side break. Amazing looking disc. Then you get to the extras where they show the deleted scenes and they're sourced from a much lower quality master and they look really crappy. And you're like, oh my God, that disc really did. The movie looks so good. Also, as Ryan mentioned, the AC3 on this, really surprising, really active bass. Like so much so that I thought my sub had been turned up or something. Like I had knocked the dial. Like I had to stop it and check for a second. Like these films, the first two are actually mixed pretty well. They're very dialogue heavy, but the dialogue's well recorded. But this has just so much low end, particularly all the music cues, all the needle drops. Was not expecting that. And I double checked on the Blu-ray, not the same. So I don't know if the DVD maybe has that track as well because it carries over.
The DVD was pumping,
So this may be a Dolby Club mix. I don't know.
Club mix, maybe.
It. Like it really does. And now that I've talked about this with GoldenEye and Mission Impossible and this, I'm starting to think, so is this really a Dolby thing from the 90s? Like they were just pumping that bass because I'm coming across it more often. But yeah, that was really surprising. But get this if you can find it for like under $100, because that's usually what it goes for. This thing, it looks incredible for LD. No aliasing whatsoever, no banding, no any of the usual stuff. I mean, this is what a late release, this is what you think it is. And then, you put on Rush Hour and it looks great, but it's got some aliasing and the color's not very saturated. And you're like, oh man, you put this thing on, this is like pure 5-star. So Widescreen Review gave it a 4.5 out of 5. And I'm like, no. So yeah, this is like new top 10 for me in picture quality. So I did another one where I wanted to check it out because the rumors on the picture and sound were that it was amazing. Threw on the DTS True Lies, which I'd wanted to get for age. This is one of the DTS ones that goes for crazy money because of course True Lies is still not on Blu-ray. And of course, everybody has the common, which was, AC3 #1. So everybody should have it. But this is, plagued with DNR. It's a smeary transfer because
it's aggressive.
Cameron was just going nuts. Ooh, the pan and scan flex.
Director's pan and scan. Yeah, where's your director's pan and scan?
That's the one I don't have. So the rumors were this didn't have the DNR. So the rumors were this didn't have the DNR, and our old buddy, old pal, Disclord on the LDB forums would talk about this having, like, it used a higher gen master. So it was like 18-bit DTSS, 16-bit Dolby Digital. So that made me want to find this. So finally got the chance to throw this on and crank it up loud. Sound wise, it is like most ETS. It is a really big step up in terms of dynamics and everything else. And the oomph factor, you know, the AC3 is no slouch. You know,
it's got
it
some
still holds
punch.
up because but this one, you know, definitely goes far beyond. And it is a later pressing because it's 97. Jacket's the same except for DTS logos. It's the same transfer though.
Bummer.
It's like a little sharper, like you can tell in some of the close-ups because it's like 3 years later, but it's still got that baked-in smeariness. So I was so excited. I was like, it's going to look so much better. It won't have DNR. It'll look better than the DVD because the DVD is literally the AC3 LD. Like, it's non-anamorphic. So unfortunately, it's the same transfer. It looks a little better because it's 97. If you're a big fan of this movie, the soundtrack is an improvement. I don't know if it's worth like the $100 this disc usually goes for. I just got super lucky. The only other thing is jacket's the same, it's glossy, but it doesn't have the cool Omega sector on the, you know, since I've got it here, I'll just
on the final side. The last line of defense.
I have to say though, every time I come back to this movie, I'm like, this is just too cartoony. You know, it really is. And it cost over $100 million back then. And I'm like, geez, like you can see that money, but it's like, it's overblown to the extreme. So yeah, I mean, I like things in it. The sound design for the time period is like, wow, there's actually some surround pans I hadn't noticed before.
Nice.
And I'm like, damn, this is so impressive for 94. So DTS was really impressive, but unfortunately it did still have that smeary look to it. All right, and the fourth out of the five, it's a double, but I'll go through it real quick. Through on the Encore, working my way through all my old discs I haven't watched yet. So I'm up to the Encores of House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula, which were the last two Universal horrors before Abbott and Costello came in. These are pretty notorious for being the monster mashes where they just threw everything in and they don't really work. And they are a mess of films, but they do have their fans. They're beautifully shot. The first one has Karloff in it. There's a lot of classical elements that have been ripped off a million times. The Encore version of this digital is really nice. It's one of the later ones. All of the lesser sequels got fancy Encores with digital sound, whereas the original films did not. This has a nice gatefold with beautiful write-ups and imagery. So yeah, the later ones got these awesome releases. Print transfer, the prints they use look really good. The mono is really clear. So yeah, if you like the later 40s films, they have really great LDs where the originals don't. But they do have those photo still sections at the end. So it has some lobby cards and posters and stuff. So it was cool. Universal did that. And that was like the extent of their extras. And then last, I'm halfway through this because it's a serial. So, you know, it's, 4 hours long. So I watch serials by chapters. So I threw on the Republic answer to the Flash Gordon serials, which is Undersea Kingdom from 1936. This totally trying to do Flash Gordon, but it's right down to the fact that instead of they didn't have Buster Crabbe, they have Crash Corrigan.
Crash.
And it's a mystical land. They basically, there's things that are happening on the earth, and the scientist tracks it instead of outer space. He tracks it to the sea and realizes that it's actually the lost city of Atlantis that's protected underground by a dome they built. And now they're trying to, there's an evil Ming-like character who's trying to rise to the surface and destroy humanity. It's Flash Gordon underwater. But it being Republic, the action is fantastic. You have walking mechanical robots. It's definitely a little cheesy because it is a 30 serial, but tons of action. When they get to Atlantis, it looks just like a Western because it's guys on horseback, but they have these, they're bare chested. So it's a weird mix. I'm halfway through it right now. It's also one of those where all the cliffhangers are cheats, where every time the cliffhangers are actually pretty good, but when they come back to the next one, it's a total cheat. Like they changed the shot, like the guy is totally dead at the end of the cliffhanger. You're like, holy crap, he just died. And then chapter 6, it's like, he's like 6 miles away. And I'm like, oh my God. But it's got a charm of its own. It's earlier on for Republic, and they basically became like the big studio of serials, and especially with like Captain Marvel. Doesn't have the charm of the Flash serials, which are still my favorite. But since I was revisiting those, I'm like, I'm gonna watch some of my other ones, and I'm trying to watch all my unwatched discs. So presentation on here is really nice, actually. It does have little reissue tags in the credits. So I guess it's from a line where they were digitally mastering from original materials. So I want to get more of these from this line, because a lot of these haven't gotten good DVD releases, and it's got digital audio. Each one is chaptered out. So yeah, if you come across some of these, give it a chance. Watch a few chapters at a time. Don't watch all 4 hours at once. But
it's not Netflix material.
It's nice to finally be able to get through some of these, and it's a nice refresher. Like I watched Never Say Never Mind, and I'm like, I got to do something. And I'm like, I'm gonna watch 3 chapters of Undersea Kingdom to watch it. It worked. And I'm like, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so professionally made, and it's a 1936 serial. This is just washing all that away.
No Swedish bikini team, however.
No. Bare-chested guys, though.
All right, fair enough. All right. We tore through some spins. Let's move on over into recent pickups and keeping it LD centric. Everybody shake off the cobwebs. We can do this. Let's do it.
He's going to fall asleep.
Vinny's asleep. All right.
I'm here.
I'll be quick. I got some stuff from Luke. He sent me Blue Velvet because the David Lynch episode never ends. It just keeps on going. Japanese release of Blue Velvet. It's a gatefold. So thanks, Luke.
Yeah, whatever.
You're a scholar in the chat. Luke also sent Japanese copy of Wild at Heart because I need more copies of Wild at Heart.
Nice.
Again, nice gatefold. I'm not going to take it out of the sleeve because that would be too much work. Thanks, Luke.
Yeah, whatever.
Spencer also hooked it up.
Yes.
With a DTS Shadow. Fantastic. Super psyched to get this. I was going to actually crank this up the night I got it, but of course, Ryan's chores kind of got in the way. So I'm going to fire this up this weekend and really piss off the neighbors.
Need to be able to have the time to bask in the glory. That you got to crank that sucker up. You will. Yeah.
So thanks, Spencer.
No problem.
And let's see. What else did I get? I met up with a friend down at the archive because I had to go down there. And Lance, who runs RetroWare and does the Retro World Expo and all that stuff, gave me a copy of El Cid, which is Spanish for the seed. And the Criterion, which I didn't have before. He gave me a bunch of other stuff, but I just figured I'd show
that is a fantastic disc. It's pretty rare, but man, that thing.
Yeah.
And there's
AC3.
It's out of print on DVD, and the Blu-ray is terrible in Europe, and that's out of print. So that's still one of the best ways to watch it.
It is number 304. So.
Fantastic AC3 too. Like the
yeah.
AC3 on that
one, yeah.
And the Miklos Rosa score. Oh my God. Like the script of that movie is, it's very kind of iffy, but it's all about the visuals and that score. Oh my God. Like you could just mute the dialogue and that score in AC3. Let it go. Oh my God.
And I also got a bunch of, all right, I'm going to do a lot of 4-3 stuff just for Ryan. Sadly, not Broterian, not Explosions. But the only time I'll really keep 4-3 stuff is if it's like stuff I used to enjoy as a kid on VHS and is like a comedy. So I'm keeping Ron Howard's Night Shift. Because Michael Keaton and of course the Fonz is in there as well. So Henry Winkler. So good supporting cast. I watch that on cable on Spotlight, shining bright day and night. They light up the stars for you. Spotlight many times. Saw this multiple times theatrically. The Man with Two Brains. Again, it's a comedy. It's from the 80s. There's no nice letterbox copy on LD, so I'm going to keep that.
The only letterbox one is the Warner Archive Blu-ray. It took that long.
Sadly, I didn't pick up. This one's going out to Moikey. Got to keep a copy of Hot Pursuit. Steven Lisberger did this thing. So if you like Tron, you're going to love Hot Pursuit with John Cusack. And also keeping Cadillac Man because I'm a fan. Tim Robbins and Robin Williams. And Nuns on the Run, the film that taught me spectacles, testicles, wallet, and watch. Eric Idle and Robbie Coltrane. There's a little bit of a pre-rental tag down there torn off, but I can.
Is the leather nun in that movie? I hope
Leather
so.
Nun is in that movie. Yep. And going out to Vinny. Sadly, not a letterbox copy available, but My Blue Heaven I have to have on LaserDisc because you can
I need
melt
to
all
see
this
that
stuff.
again. It's been ages.
Arugula. It's a vegetable. Yeah. So I wish there had been a widescreen release, but there was not. All right. Also got the reissue of FX Murder by Illusion. So I didn't have a copy of that.
Dennehy flex.
Yeah, man. Dennehy's
That doesn't
in your
pop
face.
up.
No,
It's always the pan and scan one.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, this was what, 94-ish, something like that.
It's a nice jacket. It's like very glossy and everything.
Yeah, it's super glossy. Let's check out the gloss. And winding down this one, I had to get James Coburn, the President's Analyst, though it's the special home video version because they couldn't afford music rights.
Yes,
so.
that's the reason why I don't have it. And that film will reappear in this same episode, actually.
Ah, okay. All right.
Yes.
And I never had Adventures of Baron Munchausen Criterion, the triple super gatefold. This is
the way to watch it.
144. So that was in a lot. I went out. I forgot to tell the story of the lot that these all came from. There was a friend of a friend years ago. My friend, of course, knew I was into Laserdiscs, and is like, "Oh, my friend in town has Laserdiscs, and you should buy them." I'm like, "All right, it's meant to be. Let's do this." And then I contacted the guy, and he was super standoffish. And then she had another friend who lived in the same town with him, who decided he was going to get into Laserdisc at the same time. And I was like, look, I live a couple hours away. I have to actually like manufacture a schedule and make this happen to get to your house. Just let this other guy have it. And plus he wouldn't give me a price. He wouldn't get, it was just a lot of back and forth. And it was like a casual thing turned into a really, really intense like job. And I'm like, nope, I'm good, walking away. And then all of a sudden on Facebook Marketplace late at night, all of a sudden I see, oh, those are those LDs from that dude. The dude who ended up buying them that I let have them decided he was going to get out of LD about a year or so later. And this is the third or fourth time this has happened. I will always get your Laserdiscs. I will always get your Laserdiscs. Remember that.
Come and get them, Sam.
Yeah. I also got the Faulty Towers box in there too,
cool.
which I did not have. So
love that show.
There's something weird about that box, like they edited them weird. Spencer,
I think so. Yeah, I forget what it is because I've never actually owned the LD, but I've read something about it's like the presentation
mushed together or something instead of I don't know, whatever.
I'll find out.
Yeah.
Yep.
It might be out of order.
Almost done. I went over, called 1-900 Big Bill, got Back to the Future Muse. So no big deal. Just a small just thing.
It's Muse,
Also watched it. Also looks fantastic. So Tecmone can
better
do something. Yeah, it looks really, really nice. It was a lot of fun watching this on Muse. And got the Back to the Future. It's pretty thin. Doesn't have the chocolate box that Columbia TriStar would do, but grab that. And I think that's it. What do you pick up, Brian?
I got a few things. We'll start with some common things because why not? I also had been filling in from some of those sealed hammers that had shown up. So I got the Witches and Q.
Excellent.
Yep.
Is he sold out yet, or? I
have no idea. I had got these, put them in my queue, and I'm like, oh, I should probably show these off.
I think we got everything he had now.
I'm sure we had to, maybe. I mean, it seems like the Hammer and Roan discs like show up in like cases randomly all over the country. Like, oh, we forgot we didn't sell these.
Yeah. Here's 20 copies of Baron Blood.
I didn't have Breaking, so
nice.
Now I do.
And Breaking 2.
Yes.
Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah.
Read your disc, dude.
Yeah.
Center of the Web. Nice, sweet AIP Broterium.
Wait, what was the tagline?
Hang on,
a spider?
I got you. I should probably spotlight this here. You can't even see the tagline.
It's like trapping. Oh, there you go.
Trapping the wrong man was their biggest mistake. Center of the web.
Yeah. So Tony Curtis, Robert Davi. That's all you really need.
Tony Curtis.
I would watch that because Tony Curtis is in it. I would admit.
Robert Davi.
Nice.
Is that Dennis Farina? Nice.
Yes, of
Yeah.
course it is. You can kind of tell. It's really, really bad art, but yeah, street
Never
crime.
go to London.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot going on. You got like boxing
Wow.
here and gun shooting. That's good.
Crimes on the street.
To the death.
Sealed.
Sealed
Laser blazers?
stock.
The title says it all. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more than just sport. It's survival to the death. Coming this summer to no theater near you.
I picked up some Bolo. Get some Fearless
Oh.
Tiger here.
Nice.
Can't
Who's the
go
other guy?
wrong.
Jalal something?
It's got Bolo. That's all you really need to know.
He's just lingering in the background there.
Yeah, so-
Hopefully he's in it for more
They,
than 5
they
minutes.
need to just print the Broterian reasoning as the blurbs, you know,
Yeah.
like it's got Bolo. What
It's
else
got
matters,
Bolo.
bro?
this is an old or
Nice.
ex-rental returned by 7 p.m.
Nice.
Obviously.
That's great.
Yeah, you're in trouble if it's after 7.
Yeah,
No,
and
we're
it's,
right on
so
the
late.
jacket.
obviously a Police Academy ripoff.
Mhm.
So
Recruits.
we've got the Vanna White movie.
Oh
What?
wow. Did not know this existed.
I saw it and I'm like, oh, it's on Bismarck.
It's a biplane film?
I have no idea. There's like a car explosion, so I don't know.
Prop dusting?
Yeah.
She
Alan
invisible?
Smithy directed it though. He is a
Yeah.
quality director.
Oh, it's Alan Smithy. dude.
Mark of distinction.
Got Caged Fear. There's nothing on this
Wow.
front cover. Like this is a Vinnie like special.
Yeah.
Like
The gun held to that.
No
like,
logos.
throat.
yeah, nothing.
Yep.
And then the back has got lots of stuff. But
Image did it though.
well, of course they did.
Is that New Line? I thought I saw it
Yes,
next
New
to
Line. It is.
Oh.
Wow. So if you liked Austin Powers, you're gonna love Cage
Yeah.
Fear.
I'm sure it's the same.
Okay.
The Toy Soldiers.
Hmm.
I've been looking for this one, so finally found it.
Wrong. Not the Goonies. Oh, what's his name? Or whatever.
Right. This is like
Good
early
Toy Soldiers.
Yeah. early mid 80s. Got an Australian exploitation film.
Oh,
Yeah.
I did
Ah.
not know this was on Laserdisc till it like popped up in a Greg Loader sale. And this is the only time I've ever seen a copy, and I don't even know if there's other copies, but it's the sequel to Alvin Purple.
Wow.
So, and keeping up with some weird, obscure stuff. Bikini Island. This is like a horror movie, I guess.
I don't see a bikini.
I was going to say there's bikini in the
Yeah.
title or somewhere it will arrive.
There
in
you
the
go.
Bow
Oh,
office.
okay.
There,
Yeah,
see,
better.
no,
That's
this,
a
this
bikini.
isn't Never Say Never Mind. And then 2 more. Johnny Be Good with the R-rated version.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Ah,
Sexually suggestive footage.
is that Uma? Is that Uma Thurman?
Heather Graham.
Oh, okay.
I should watch that again. That movie was a chore.
I've never seen it, so it's on Image, so it can't be bad.
It used to be on cable, so you'd watch it anyways, and you'd be like, ugh.
And then, last but not least, I'm going to show it one more time. This took a little while to get here, but it got here, and it was packed immaculately. So thank you, Sean, for this. This is one of the last Transformers discs I needed, and the only US disc. So if you're trying to get Transformers complete, you start with a giant hurdle to begin with. So all of the
Sounds good.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's no Back to the Future Muse, but nobody.
Fair
can.
enough.
What about you, Vinny?
Vinny, what do you buy?
My Bluetooth died. The batteries died. They were
Oh,
at
no.
100 when we started, so you can hear me just fine.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
sound great.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a movie you guys you're gonna groan when you hear that I haven't seen it, but I just had never seen it, but now I will.
What? You never saw that?
Wow.
Friday?
What?
Yeah, see?
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Somehow it just eluded me. So now I've got I'll never get the DTS probably. So now I've got this, and I will put this at the top of my watch list.
Still a nice disc. My wife hates it, but she's the
Oh,
only
really?
one I know that doesn't like
Huh.
it. Yeah.
Michael J. Fox, prime Michael J. Fox, Peter Jackson. I mean,
Yeah.
we went downhill and did that garbage, but yeah.
Right. What else? A common that everyone has that I just never had, but the AC3 twist.
Nice.
ah.
I haven't seen this since I saw it in the theater, so maybe I'll
I absolutely love it.
I'll show
Still
the
a
kids
great
this
sound
one.
mix.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, it's great.
Some more AC3. Great train robbery.
Yeah,
That's a nice one.
So
that's
I
a
saw this actually
Wonderful
recently.
disc.
Yeah.
Yep.
I saw this recently. it was a bit slow, and it took a long time to get to that robbery. They planned for quite a while, but
it's about the journey. That's it's one of the
But it'll be cool on AC3. Another AC3 fell into my lap.
Rain Man flex.
Yeah, I love this movie.
Oh, it's a gatefold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to find that, but all you ever find is the standard one.
Yeah, I was always the guy screaming about how Cruise should have won that Oscar. Not
yes, agreed, 100%. Yes,
compared to what Cruise has to do.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't have a lot of regrets in LaserDisc collecting, but I regretted not being able to get the DTS West Side Story because it was just another member had it. And I don't know, I didn't want to buy it from him. And then one came up in eBay, and it was when Peter was going through his DTS tear, and I sort of just bowed out and let him have it. But I got the AC3.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So DTS is, I'm pretty sure, the exact same cover, and it just has the DTS.
Yeah, you got that later MGM deluxe letterbox spanner there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remaster transfer and everything.
Yep.
And then say hello to my little friend.
Oh,
excellent.
Carlito's DTS. We were talking about it. When was that? A few months ago, I guess.
Yeah.
And I saw it pop up, reasonable price, so I had to grab it. And I love how the cover, very simple, because I never really liked those MC
Universal,
the stripes.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen this in a while, and I really like this movie, so it'll be cool to see in DTS. That's it.
Very nice. All right,
Luke.
What about you, Luke?
So, I've been buying a lot of Criterions. I'm not gonna show you all of them. I'll just show. I got 4 here. All right, Vinnie gave me one because I made the mistake of saying I wanted it, so he sent me this guy. This is the Incredible Shrinking Man.
Oh yes,
cool.
I do have the Japanese one. I got in Japan, so I've been liking by having the Japanese and the American one. I did put this on for a second, and Spencer or anybody else maybe can help me here. The theme music at the very beginning of this movie was very familiar to me, like very familiar. And I was like, oh, maybe it was sampled somewhere or something. Nope, I could not find any. I have no idea. I think I had the record of it. It's from my, again, 2 seconds of research. It's a pretty famous score and people like it a lot. I don't know. It just like hit me. I'm like, where do I know this from? I can't place it.
Did you sample it on that CD you made in the 90s?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It was weird. I think I just had the record of it or something. And I listened to it and I liked it and whatever. But yeah, there's that. Next one was there's one record store down the street that just opened up. And, I always have the same line. I was like, I know this is a silly question, but do you have any LaserDiscs? And you're like, no, but I do. I happen to have this one, and he showed me, the old time.
Cool.
And I got it for like $2. I like it as the handmade logo right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I popped this on, and it looks fine. It's good. One Criterion I will show because it goes with the show. I did pick up Alphaville.
Oh, cool.
I don't know. I've tried. This one is going for a little bit more than normal. Futuristic Bond type movie, I tried watching it once. I was not a huge fan. I might try it again.
Godard's very hit or miss with most people.
Yeah. Last but not least was the big one. It's not a huge score, but it was fun to get. San Diego has a swap meet, and it is so swap meaty. I overheard someone say the line, just walking through, and it's like, oh, I finally found the 8-ball for my brother's grave. Like, what the hell? But anyway,
do you want me to never say never mind too?
But it's like worse than garage sales, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are more professional, but most of it's just like towels with garbage. Like it's just crap.
Yeah.
Lots of piles of DVDs, and I look through everything, and there's just nothing I want. And it's just so disappointing where it's just like, oh my God. But some records, which is fun. And I asked this one guy, I said, hey, do you have any LaserDiscs? As I was leaving, like it closed at 3, it was like 2:45. And he said, well, I got this one where I just put it in the back of the records to hold it up. Like, okay, what is it? And he pulled this guy out.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
Like I was like, that's not a LaserDisc, is it? That must be the. Anyway, no. So I didn't have this before, and it's
holding up the records.
holding up the records.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I paid, yeah. Anyway, it was like disbelief. I'm like, what the hell? Okay, sure, yeah, I'll take it. Okay.
Yeah, it's a great Elite release.
Yeah.
Yeah, just sitting there.
Yeah.
All right,
That's all the LaserDisc pickups I have.
all right. What do you pick up, Spencer? You got any LDs?
I got a couple. I just pulled one because
All right.
the other three were pretty common, and most of my pickups were non-LD, like the big ones I was going to show. So this one's actually pretty big because it's relatively pricey. It's not full on rare, but you just never see it, and like the only copy on the database is like $25. So I always saw it, and it's a movie I've never gotten to see, and so I'm like, oh, holy crap, this is just here in a bunch of commons. So this is the Fox 1995 pressing of the 1952 film Five Fingers, which is directed by Joseph Mankiewicz, stars James Mason, Michael Rennie. It's sort of a spy film, so it fits with the theme.
Cool.
Always wanted to see this. Really nice glossy jacket. Again, mid-90s Fox. Lovely liner notes. And again, you just don't see this. PCM mono. So yeah, this is a pretty hard to get disc. I don't know. I guess it has DVD. I'm not for sure. But yeah, I've just never gotten to see this. And with that cast and crew, Joe Mankiewicz, and its spy thriller material with James Mason, I'm like, okay, yes, you have me. Yeah. So yeah, this is mixed in with a bunch of comments. I'm like, wow. So it was $2.
Very nice.
So yeah, that's the one I pulled. So not a whole lot of LD action, but when that dries up, then all of a sudden, the flood comes in.
I did have a bunch of classics too. I probably should have shown, but I just had so many. But yeah, lots of Charlie Chaplin, Bogart, Bob Hope stuff, and just random things. Yeah. So I got a lot of old man discs I can show on some future videos. But let's kick everything else to the curb and get right to let's get physical, I think, right? You think that's okay, Ryan?
Yeah.
We'll kick all the hot topics and stuff to the curb. It's been a long night. All right. So physical media, not LD related, anything that's, books, vinyl, DVDs, Blu-rays, what have you. I mostly got vinyl, but let's tear through these quick. I got a copy of Streets of Fire in my local store, which is cool. Unfortunately, it's a Columbia house, but it'll do for now. Get that. Also,
did you know it at the time, or did you get home?
I did. It was it was super cheap. Everyone was ditching these because of the box set, but I got an old school copy of Gang of Four Entertainment. So cool. Thanks.
Did you get the box set?
I did not get the box set.
I was very close to pushing the button, and I didn't do it. I don't know.
Yeah. So I always like when the box sets come out because it's like I might invest in it. When the Kate Bush one came out, all the old guys with their really nice copies of all her albums would sell them all. And so same thing happened with this. This thing was completely minty. So yeah, someone took really good care of it and then bought the box set and sold it off. So also grabbed Color Box, which is the guys that ended up becoming Mars that did Pump Up the Volume. This is it's actually a double disc. They threw on a bonus LP EP kind of thing in here. It's on the 4AD label, but it's not. This was like kind of like the Black Sheep, the Family, like not quite like the ethereal stuff that was on a lot of 4AD records. No Throwing Muses kind of vibe or Dead Can Dance or anything, but it's cool. It's got a track on here that was on LDF this week. Was it Just Give 'Em Whiskey is on here. It's got lots of movie soundtrack and quotes and stuff like that, samples. So cool stuff. And I finally I went down to the archive and grabbed a copy of I see Ryan. A little John Carpenter Lost Themes 3. And it comes with a poster and everything like that. Sounds really good. And nobody's gonna care, but Norwegian black metal, some Dark Throne, their newest release, Old Star. Grab that as well. These guys, they're coming to your village. And I tore through their soundtracks, and it's pretty beat up, but I never had a copy of the Dudes soundtrack, which is a lot of fun. It's got, Jane's Addiction on there, and is it Keel? Yeah, I think Keel does Rock and Roll Outlaw. The Vandals, Wasp is on here, and Megadeth. These boots are made for walking. You know, stuff that was available otherwise, but it's really good. And I never had one from the heart. This is actually a 90s reissue. Tom Waits and Crystal Gale from the Coppola movie that nobody ever remembers. But yeah, I know my wife's a Crystal Gale fan, and I'm a Tom Waits fan, so I had to get that. Got Tim Buckley's first album at my local shop. Bam. And never had Shriek back on vinyl, Oil and Gold, which is, yeah, great stuff. If you like Michael Mann films, you've heard a lot of these songs in Manhunter and Band of the Hand, etc. But yeah, members of XTC and Gang of Four again. And speaking of Dead Can Dance, I got somebody traded in their reissue copy of the first release, which is, yeah, good stuff. And a copy of Rush Hold Your Fire on vinyl, which now gets me from Moving Pictures to Presto on vinyl, and then a few other ones. So I'm slowly getting my way to Rush Complete on vinyl.
How many albums do they have?
Like 20 something. Trying to think of the last time I counted. Yeah. So and then I'm sure some of the newer ones are probably super expensive, so they didn't press like major amounts of them, but they're like 2 LPs, like, yeah, ones that went out of print. I did get one CD, Nuclear Assault, Out of Order, which is a bit of a find. I had to pay a little bit more for it, but thrash metal CDs are like always through the roof. This one's from 91. And in the mail today, I'll just share these quick. The Warner Brothers Archive box came in, so I got Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, classic 70s TV movie, equally classic 70s TV movie, Bad Ronald. I got From Beyond the Grave, another anthology film, and Demon Seed, which I didn't have on Blu-ray, and Doc Savage. And for my recommendation, when I was at the archive, I finally grabbed a copy on DVD of Last Days Here, which is the story of the lead singer from the band Pentagram, who was like the heaviest band. It was like early 70s, post Sabbath, but like 90s level, like heavy metal, but you know, early. It's kind of like with the Death documentary about the band that was like punk before punk. This is the same thing. These guys like had a sound that was, you know, miles ahead of all the stoner rock bands. And yeah, so now everybody that's in all these newer bands like kind of worship the ground that this guy walks on, but he's a complete total nightmare junkie. And it's really the kind of story of this one guy who, strangely, I know his brother. It mostly takes place in Philadelphia and the environments thereof, but this guy who's, you know, works in the record industry and is trying to capitalize on the fact that all this guy's stuff is now hot and all these new bands are into him, and he's trying to get him to go do a show. And it's almost like a mockumentary because it's so over the top, but it's just how this guy lives. And he's like living with his parents for most of the film, and they're totally enabling him, and he's smoking crack and he's on heroin, and they've got footage of him, other shows they've tried to book with him, and he just disappears and wanders off. And yeah, he is beyond a character. But yeah, definitely amazing documentary, and lots of bonus features on here too. But if you want to stream it, you can probably find it on maybe Netflix or something, but I recommend it. What about you, Ryan?
I got a few things, not as many as you, but first off, shout out to Trevor for this spot. This is I Like to Hurt People on Betamax. So,
I was gonna say beta.
And I didn't even know it was on beta, neither did he. He saw it and sent me the link, and I'm like, are you getting it? And he wasn't, and so I did, and it came in like 3 days. So really, really cool. I now have it on DVD, signed by one of the executive producers, because he sells it on eBay that way. LaserDisc and beta, so kind of cool. I got a couple Dollar Tree pickups. El Gringo with Scott Adkins and Christian Slater. No idea. It was $1. Don't judge me.
I'm judging you.
I got the Chris Christopherson Disappearance and 7 bonus movies. Again, it says Walmart. It was Dollar Tree.
Just 7 not just one bonus movie. 7.
Yeah,
and probably tons of compression noise because they're all shoved on one disc.
No, there's like 3 or 4 discs in here.
Okay.
Oh wow!
Yeah. It was originally like $8 at Walmart. So,
but they didn't call it like the 7 action pack. It's like
What is it? Mill Creek, maybe?
Echo Bridge. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Toxic Shark was $1. Probably overpaid.
Is there bonus features? All right. Yep.
Yeah, of course. This one I'd never heard of. Vice with Bruce Willis and Thomas Jane. Look at that hair on Jane.
Wow. What is that?
I
It's
don't
like a surrogate sequel?
I don't know. It was $1 and it had Bruce Willis in it. It can't be bad. And then I did find one good thing: the Hangover Steelbook for $1.
Oh, nice.
So
Baby
that's-
Carlos on there.
Yeah, and I mean, really, they made sequels, but they didn't need to. So,
Fair enough.
Couple of
Just like
better
Austin
quality
Powers.
items. 6 Degrees of Hell with Corey Feldman. You
All right.
guys heard of this? No.
I've heard of Corey Feldman.
Yeah,
I've heard of hell.
it's a late release.
I've heard
Corey
of
Feldman.
Feldman.
These are good.
Yes, they're very good.
Oh,
And one more, Slaughter High.
Yeah.
So-
Nice.
I picked those up from time to time. Those I had set in a pile and lost them. And then I got a couple of vinyl records. There's a shop in Wheaton, which is about probably 70 minutes from me, and they have the best ordering I've ever seen for new vinyl. Like, the guy just is on his game, and he's probably the best in Chicago at doing it. And so I stopped in, I had ordered something, and this came out, so I picked it up. Nice. I believe it's
MOV, yeah.
it's music on vinyl, limited edition, red translucent vinyl. So
Means in 6 months it'll be like $300. That's how their color pressings go.
Fountains of Wayne, that's Wayne, New Jersey, right? What, Vinnie?
Absolutely. Yep.
Are there
I
actual
thought,
fountains in Wayne, New Jersey?
What's that?
Are there actual fountains in Wayne, New Jersey?
There was a, I think it was a shop that sold like fountains, like you would put in a yard or like for a
Decorative
commercial
lawn fountain.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
this was the reason why I made the actual trip. This is the new repress of The Glass Passenger, and it's another colored vinyl. For whatever reason, anything Andrew McMahon just goes out of print right away or sells out and they don't make enough. And so these get stupid expensive really fast. So you either pre-order them or you don't get them. So,
It looks expensive just looking at it.
yeah, it's really great gatefold.
$60 just disappeared from my wallet. What happened?
Yeah.
It's silver colored vinyl. I haven't cracked it yet, but I will. And then I stopped at a Half Price Books, which they're so hit or miss on stuff. But in their locked record case, which is also kind of a joke sometimes, it's either like really good stuff, really overpriced stuff, or hey, we put the sealed records here because we didn't want them to get screwed up. But they did have this.
Oh,
So
wow.
I was able to pick up and it was well underpriced. So
Nice.
and it's in really, really nice conditions, some edge wear. So I'm really happy to pick that up. So yeah, those are my pickups.
Kick ass.
Who we got next? Vinny.
What about Vinny?
Oh, Vinny,
Who you got?
Who's up? Who am I looking at?
Like you, Vinny.
Should I see me? Oh, there. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I saw Spencer most of the first half. Like, I don't think I saw myself. I don't care.
It's okay. That's not what we saw.
Okay, good. Books. I will start with some books.
All right.
So we have this in the store. I don't know everything we order. We have a buyer, so I have no idea what we get. And I saw it on the counter on the front table, 101 Things I Learned in Film School. So it's a really nice little book. So each page is devoted to a topic.
Clearly, they talk about open mat, right?
I'm sure.
Yes.
It's funny, the first page is called, the first thing was called Have a Good Strong Opening Shot or something. Start strong, have a great opening shot. And they use Working Girl as an example. Statue of Liberty, Ariel sort of sets up the whole thing. It's cool. I got an advanced copy of this. I started reading it. This is Andrew McCarthy's memoirs called Brat, an 80s story. It's pretty cool. I did not know he was from New Jersey.
Yeah, I really don't know much about his life, so.
Yeah, it should be interesting. I think he's sort of a reluctant star, so I'm curious to see. All right, I got a bunch of DVDs. I'll try to go through these quickly. Tie into Casino Royale, because I don't know if you noticed who was a DP on Casino Royale.
Yes.
Nicholas.
Rogue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nicholas Rogue's Walkabout. And I passed Walkabout, I don't know, maybe 100 times, and I just never got it. But whenever I see a Criterion DVD, I take it.
I would an LD.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen it, so that's exciting. Luke sent me something. I'm trying to go Scorsese complete. I was only missing a few things, so I did not have the Rolling Thunder review, which I have not seen. I know Luke wasn't a huge fan of it, hence why I have it. But I'm excited to give that a shot because I'm also not a big Dylan guy, and I'd be curious to see this. So I have this and I have Don't Look Back, so let's see. And then also Shine a Light, which I never had. And I figured I should own.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
There was a couple weeks ago, a bunch of Paramount titles from the Criterion Collection went out of print. So there was a mad rush. And while everyone was going to Barnes & Noble, I went to FYE online and found a couple in order to, I haven't gotten those yet, but in order to get my free shipping, I threw in the Better Off Dead Steelbook.
I didn't even know there was a Steelbook.
Yeah, because I want to show my kid that.
I gotta get that.
Question for Steelbookers: where do you put the thing?
I do what you do. I fold it up and put
it doesn't fit, so I just sort of shoved it in here.
I'm a nerd. I actually leave them on. Like I remove the adhesive and then I always carefully take it on and off the shelf.
I saw actually on a site, and I'll send you the pic, Sam. Somebody makes slip cases for Steelbooks, like custom.
Okay.
With like spines, and so they all sort of match. It's pretty interesting.
Wow.
This was a little late, but
is that A to Z?
No, not A. This is the television collection complete. So it's all 3 seasons of the show.
It looks smaller than I'd anticipate.
Yeah, no movie, just the
okay. They're really packed in there.
Yeah. I had to have this. I kept seeing it pop up, and I like that first season. I didn't like the second.
VHS art.
But I figured I should have it. It's cool to have. They did a great job. Not only do you have fake stickers, you've got the real Target stickers on top. This clearance one, I don't know if this is real or fake. I think that's a fake. That's a real.
That's
I used
real,
to get those. They would sell those for like $5 sometimes. So
yeah, they were always in the ink.
Yeah, they're all pretty cheap.
The 4Ks are harder to get, but
right.
Yeah.
I got this. I pass this up all the time, but I had to get it.
I still need that. I really want to get one of those because I know it's the first box with the transfers before they remastered them, so it's pretty much the LD transfers dumped over. But I would love to see that just to look at them.
Yeah, and I ordered Eyes Wide Shut white snapper to match.
Oh yeah.
Oh
these are all snappers.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's all white, which just makes you pick 2001. So it's automatically
cool.
And then I've been collecting the Criterion Digipacks with novels.
I've got that one.
Yes,
that's nice.
So I'm just filling them in. Vampire. This is the screenplay. Picnic at Hanging Rock. This is the Blu-ray with novel. Tulane.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Which I've never seen that. And then just recently, Man Who Fell to Earth.
I was going to ask if you had this one.
Oh wow.
Yeah, this is the hardest one to get. This
Flex.
is pretty decently priced. It's one of those Goodwill listings where they never show. They just use the same photo, so you have to email them to find out what it is they're actually selling. So
I sold mine because I'm a dumbass.
Yeah, because they have the book and they said it did. So I got it for a decent price. So I think I just have one left, which is the Arcadin, which is always around. It's just, do I feel like spending $60 one day to just finish it out, or do I want?
The Arcadin set is really nice. I've got it on a shelf somewhere, and of course, I'm sure it's going to come out on Blu-ray sooner or later. I've got to get the Red River one before they stop making it.
Yeah, that's one of the first ones I got. That's what made me think. Let me see what else they have.
Yeah,
and then finally, this monster.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
This is amazing. This is a 36 disc Blu-ray set of Lost.
Crazy.
I'll just open it real quick. It's all the DVDs built inside of like a RPG game of some kind.
That's crazy.
Incredible. And they've got stuff like, it's got the board, and the DVDs are in there somewhere, but it's all about the cool packaging.
Yep.
There's a bonus disc that tells you how to play the game that's in here, and I thought it was missing, and then I realized you have to turn.
Oh, good grief!
You got to turn,
and
then it's buried inside.
Oh my gosh!
It's really cool. So I've been meaning to get my son started on it, but I've been hesitant just because I know how it ends, and it's like, it was such a unique thing in its time, and I don't know how bingeable it is. And he asks a lot of questions, and I'm not going to have answers for him. Like, we got to pause WandaVision like every 2 seconds, and just watch it. So I'm not looking forward to trying to answer questions about Lost. That's for sure.
there's a lot of questions that don't have answers. You know?
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. I'm like, dude, forget about the polar bear. That's it. It's one and done. So that's it on physical.
Pretty cool.
Wow, I'm jealous of that Lost box set. That's cool.
It's really good. By the way, I got it for $15. They sell it for
Get
like
the fuck out of here.
150 or 200 on eBay. First, I thought it was DVD. Then I realized it was Blu-ray.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's crazy.
I got some all over the place stuff. I'm gonna here. Let's see. The first one I found this guy, some VHS action going on. The
Oh, nice.
that cartoon.
Nice, yeah.
I was a big fan. So they have the comic, came from comic, then it did the cartoon, but the live action with what's his face from
Patrick Warburton.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, it was.
2 seasons. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Barry Sonnenfeld directed it and produced
The new
it.
one's fun too. Sadly, it got
Yeah,
canceled
is it?
though. Yeah, it's really good.
Next one I found was a nice Nosferatu the Vampire.
Ooh,
Oh.
Herzog.
Widescreen
Letterbox
VHS.
tape. Yes.
Yeah, gotta get a letterbox tape.
Break out the magnifying glass.
A cool sticker, English version of it there.
Nice.
Wow.
It's like $1. Let's
If
see.
it's a letterbox tape, I would buy it. That's
Yeah.
I have a weakness for those.
Let's see. This one I picked up, just whatever one. It's the
Nice.
incredibly strange creatures who stopped living and became
Mixed up zombies.
Supposedly the longest title of movie history. I got it because it has a Joe Bob commentary on there. He did a few commentary tracks, and this was one of them.
Nice.
So it's pretty good. Next one, I found a nice PAL Longa.
Ooh.
So it has a commentary track on there. I'm not sure. I don't think that's on. I don't know. I haven't done much research, but this has come up before. It's just a great movie.
Amazing.
Yes.
Has anyone not seen that movie here? Ryan, have you seen it?
I've not seen it, of course.
Oh wow.
Oh, you've
No, you
got
would
it.
love
It's a Rotarian. You
You would love it. It's a
love
total
Oh, so great.
highbrow Rotarian.
Okay, here's something more, Ryan.
Then this should have won the Oscar category. Like Bob Hoskins should have won the Oscar that year.
Don't talk about Ryan and Oscars. That's not the way to get him to watch something.
But the thing is, it still qualifies, man. It's still bro.
He should have won.
There's
that.
one scene with meat hooks that just
Next one I got. This is more up Ryan's alley. Is Howling 3.
Nice.
The Australian werewolf movie. It's Howling 3: The Marsupials.
I thought that was a typo. I'm like, does that really say the marsupial?
Yeah. It's like,
Wow.
what if it's an Australian director and he's like, you know what? I'll bring this shit to the outback.
Yeah.
Show him what's up.
What's Howling for? The koala bears?
No, that's not right.
That's just silly,
Next one.
Vinny.
Yeah.
that's one where they go to Brazil and they all it's werewolves with bikinis.
The team.
But not really bikinis.
Yeah,
Howling
exactly.
for
They're all
the
one
original
piece.
nightmare.
Yeah. Okay. Next one is a deep cut. I don't know if you guys, but in college they would have these Nick at Night marathons, and one I remember very clear. They had this Nick at Night back when Nick at Night was not Nick TV Land marathon, where they actually showed good old shows, and they showed this, and I just loved it, and it might have been multiple day marathon of this TV show. And I just thought it was great. I'd never heard of it before. I have a tape somewhere, probably buried in my mom's house of it. But Chico and the Man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I used to
It's
watch that.
basically
I watched that in real time.
Yeah, me
Oh,
too.
nice.
Yeah, we're old.
okay, old guys. So for the young people, it's like a Sanford and Son ripoff with Freddie Prinze
Senior.
and the guy from Willy Wonka. They work in and Scatman Carruthers is in there too. This is the only like real release of this show, is from what I'm seeing. I just loved it. Like it's a great silly. I'm a big fan of just mindless sitcoms, and this is great.
Oh yeah.
Freddie Prinze, by the way, was 22 when he died.
Yeah, when he killed himself.
Yes, at 22.
Wow.
Crazy. He was a big stand-up comic, and that was his, sitcom. Crazy.
Yeah, and they were next ones. Let's see. I do a record show. All you guys know I do not a record show, but I play records at this record store, and then for an hour. I do an hour set, and then afterwards, I always pick up records. And I just picked these up.
They don't pay you in records?
Women and Children First.
Nice.
My friend in high school always told.
Oh no.
No.
We lost.
So close.
Second time.
We were going to see if it had the poster.
Yeah, first Max was revealing her secrets, then
Yeah.
Van Halen shut it down.
Oh man.
Or you want to show us your stuff, Spencer?
I guess so. I was like, I didn't know if
Oh, wait, he's back.
he's back. He's back.
Hang on.
We lost you. Show us Van Halen again.
Yeah, we lost
My internet connection is unstable, it says.
It's because we used up all the bits. It's already, there's no more internet.
The internet said never say never mind.
Yeah.
So, okay, real quick, before I forget about Never Say Never Mind, the title, Never Say, okay.
Oh, no.
You've got the secret to the title.
We
Not
killed
the
him
Swedish
again.
bikini team.
We drained the internet. There's just no
we
more
have just
internet.
run out of tubes.
No bandwidth left.
Oh,
If
man.
only we had an IT man.
Oh, there.
Oh, he's
He's
back.
back.
He's back.
Jesus.
Oh my goodness. Okay, Crook, before my internet dies, never say never mind. They say never say never mind, but
Yeah, to the guy.
never say ... never mind.
Yeah.
So I was always thinking it was like never say never mind. You know the difference? You see the difference in there?
Yeah, the inflection and the delivery is totally different.
Yes,
Yes.
From the
absolutely.
title.
All right, next one I found before my internet crops up. This is an original press of Unfinished Music 2.
Oh,
This is the weird one. Okay, this is the weird Lennon and Yoko album. Very experimental. It's like sounds of the radio. Okay, this is like, yeah, love it. No one else likes it. All right, things I actually watch real quick. There's a new guy at work who likes movies. He's older than me, which is nice. I'm not the oldest guy in the room. And he said, "Oh, I just got the Jason Blu-ray box set." I'm like, "Oh, really?
Nice.
Let's talk." And I said, "I'm just like, okay, you know, what's your favorite one?" And he said, "Jason X."
Oh, wow.
He's like, it's so campy and it's aware of itself. I love it. I'm like, you know what, dude? I'm going home. I'm going to watch it.
Gonna watch it. Yeah.
And I sat down and I watched it from start to finish. It's like a Cinemax movie. It's crap, man. Like it's so bad. The best part about it is Cronenberg's in it for a second.
Yeah, he is, unbelievably.
Who dies because there's a couple Cronenberg. The guy in the video, he's from Naked Lunch. He's in the movie. There's other connections. Like the guy who directed it was like an editor. He had some Cronenberg connections.
Yeah.
He said, he grabbed him as well. No nudity until like hour and 22 minutes in. So it's
Unforgivable.
Yeah.
Yep.
Last one, not a real pickup, but just to watch. So there's a few movies, actually a lot of movies in my collection where, I'm like, oh, I'm going to watch it eventually. I'll get to it. I got to be in the right mood or like, but those moods never come, so it's just shelf for each. So I had to push myself, not really push myself, but really decide, okay, I'm going to watch this one. So I had a sealed copy of this movie on VHS. It's Hardcore Logo. Sam, have you seen this one? I've heard about it.
No, I do remember it, but I don't remember much about it.
Okay, so it's promoted like it's the punk rock Spinal Tap. It's a mockumentary of this Canadian punk band and their last tour. Okay, but the thing about it is not a comedy at all. Like it's super serious and super sad. But it was a really fun watch. I enjoyed it a lot. I'm glad I finally got around to watching it. The main guy kind of reminds me of Fat Mike from NoFX. Just kind of a jerky guy, and he has the guitar player is in another band, is more successful, but the bass player, this guy, one of them, it like loses his pills, like he's off his lithium and just kind of goes nuts, and it was a really enjoyable watch. I am VHS Rolling Thunder complete.
Oh, nice.
So LaserDisc complete. There's only 4 of them.
Yep.
I have all of them. DVD might be next. I don't know. I just think like if you're like hate Tarantino for whatever, but like if you're just a dude who working at a video store and you become famous, like yeah, I want to put out my own movies. That'd be great.
Yeah,
and did it even for a short period of time. So
How many VHS are there?
Say what?
How many on VHS?
Chunking,
Less than
Curdled.
10.
Oh, 10. All right.
Yeah.
Sonatine.
16. But there's trailers on here for movies that never came out. Like,
Oh, nice.
oh shit, some Italian horror movie, the Psychic or something, and then a Jet Li movie. Like he was just trying to go all over, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is by the same guy who did Bruce McDonald. He's a Canadian director who did Pontypool. Have you ever heard of this one?
Yeah.
It was on Netflix for a while. It's about a DJ who goes in and it's like a zombie movie, but like it's passed through the sound of your voice. And it's really good. And you find a director like this and you look him up and he's got a ton of movies. It's like, oh man, this is great. Like I need to really dig in and, you know, get into these other guys. It's great that there's still people out there like that. And said this Canadian director. Yep, that's
Cool.
it. Hardcore logo.
Excellent. All right, Spencer.
All
What
right,
do you got?
I got a couple of things. I went to the Warner Archive sale and I went a bit crazy. So I didn't pull all those because I have a ton and you know we're just trying to get through these. I got so many I need to make a whole video because they said it was the last sale and like they're going to be sold through a different store site now. So everybody was wondering, are they going to have any more 4 for 44 sales? So
Did you get a shipping announcement either? I only got the email saying that they're not shipping. Like
I was the same way. It said 15 to 25 days, and I'm like, okay.
And then they just showed up in my mailbox.
They showed up today, and I'm like, what? I saw the box. I'm like, no, I'm not expecting anything. That couldn't be. And I looked,
did the
and I'm
same
like,
thing. Yeah.
What? So yeah, I bought a lot. I bought ones I needed that were new this year, and then I bought ones I've been meaning to get, and I should have probably bought more because there was a coupon. But yeah,
thanks for the coupon, by the way. That helped.
Oh no problem. Yeah, when you can get them for like $8 or $9, it was like $9.35 instead of the usual 22.
Yeah, it took care of tax and shipping and then a little bit more. Yeah,
and they're so well encoded. Like they do the best encoding. Period. Like it's them and what's his name? The guy who does the encoding for Arrow and Indicator. David McKenzie. He's the guy in the UK. He does like the maxed out bit rate. So those two, you know, so if it comes from Warner Archive, it's going to be great. So I didn't pull all those because I got so many. So I'm just going to here's the one book. Read this before. It's a great memoir. Been just wanting to get a copy. Finally found the paperback for cheap. This is the memoir of Michael Dealey, the great English producer. He produced Deer Hunter, Blade Runner, The Italian Job, so many classic films. He was also an executive for a while. He was the guy who signed off on doing Life of Brian before the owner of EMI was like, what is this? So Michael Dealey was the guy who had to go to Python and be like, this is the funniest script I've ever read, but the head of the company just pulled the plug. I'm so sorry, guys. And if you've seen Dangerous Days, he's the very English gentleman with the white hair, with the wonderful accented voice. You're just talking about like, and then Filmways pulled our money, and we were like, Ridley, what are we going to do?
Oh no.
Yeah. So it's a really well written memoir. It's full of great anecdotes, very, very readable. Even if you're just a fan of one of those films, it's worth reading, and it's just one of the really nice ones. It's from the past 10 years or so. It's worth reading. And on the vinyl front, got 2 really interesting UK pieces. This one tried to get for a long time. It always eludes me. It's always very pricey. And I always wanted it, but I'm like, I've got the US one. I've got the USLP. That's great. Do I really need a British 7-inch? The packaging is so much cooler in person, so you can see why it goes for a bit. This is the original 1985 British A View to a Kill single.
Nice.
With custom gatefold artwork. They worked the Duran Duran logo in with the 007 gun barrel logo.
Pretty cool.
It's really glossy. Got the band shot on the back, and they're taken from the very 80s music video where they're on the Eiffel Tower. But
yeah, it's amazing.
The gatefold.
Oh, that's sick. Yeah.
Freaking glorious. And they built, it's die cut here. So this is the actual LP label, and it forms the gun barrel. But
that's
of course,
cool.
The best part is when you slip it out, they actually put custom art there, so you get the little bullet shells there. But the reason why everybody goes for this is there was no 12-inch. So it's a Duran single that didn't have a 12-inch with a crazy mix or something. But the 7-inch itself is white. You get the
that's
Roger Moore label.
I
And
think
then-
I have that. Was there a US version, or would I only have the UK?
The US is standard vinyl. So if you had white, it was this UK one.
Okay,
But of course, Duran was a big import band. Everybody, would import for their singles to get the B-sides and the 12-inch mixes and stuff. So you can find most of them. I have a good amount of them. I'm not complete yet. When you get to like the late 80s and especially the 90s era, like the wedding album singles, crazy expensive. Like trying to get the wedding album on vinyl, it's like
just that
$300. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like the latest one I have the Sirius 12-inch, which took me forever to find. And that's got it's got a version with an etching on it, but I got the other one because it's 45 RPM and the other one isn't. But yeah, sounds great. A little better, but yeah, the package is what it's all about. And it's really glossy. So I finally got one of these for about $10. Usually they go for like ridiculous money, but yeah, super cool. If you find one, go for it. It's awesome. Really awesome because we didn't get like a fancy 12-inch.
Did DJ Vin play that out at the clubs?
Of course.
All right, good.
Yeah. So this other one, this is another UK. This is one I never thought I would own in a million years. Usually goes for a ton of money. But occasionally I look at some of the forums I'm on have classified sections. That's where the money really starts to go up in price. And so I always glance at the Steve Hoffman forum classifieds because people post stuff there you will never be able to afford, and they're just like, it's like the very first pressing of here's my upgrade copy of Dark Side of the Moon, the correct A2 original UK matrices, and it's like, yeah, it's very good plus. I'll let it go for $375, and you're like, yeah, that's about right. Yeah. But you get to see a picture of it. It's like, wow. So somebody posted, and in the middle, they had a lot of stuff. They were in Canada, so the shipping was a little bit more, but they had this listed. They said it was original UK. They said the condition was very good plus, and it was all original matrices because this is an album they reissued 1 million times. The US one's very common, but you see it destroyed, and now stores charge a ton for it just because it's this album. This is the original UK Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. This thing is immaculate. I could not believe it. And the cover printing, the texture, and the cardstock is so much sturdier than the US one you always see as a beater copy.
It's always beat. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, the printing, just holding it in your hands, I'm like, oh my God, like I've never seen this done so well. I'm trying to do this because it's hard to do
gracefully
on a web. Yeah. But yeah, I couldn't believe it. And it's on the DJM label, and which is what you want because that was his original label. But the thing with this is the early copy, again, there's so many reissues. You want the one with the original 2 stamper on all sides, but this thing, it's also, I don't know how well this is going to show up. I should have brought my flashlight, but I'm trying to see if I can get it to show. It's very, very hard to see. Actually, I've got my phone here. Let me do that. It's not Quiax, but it is a colored translucent vinyl.
A little bit translucent, yeah.
Yeah, but this one, it's like Unknown Pleasures because it's actually red.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, this and the first Unknown Pleasures that is on my Holy Grails list because it's so freaking rare is on this translucent red vinyl.
That's cool.
And not all of them are, so I had no idea if it would be. And they just listed it as very good plus original cutting. I'm like, whoa. So yeah. And it got here in like 2 days from Canada. I was like, holy crap. And
wow,
it was, packaged bulletproof, immaculate, so much padding and just bubble wrap. And I'm like, they advertise it as very good plus. Like this thing is like very good plus. Like it's not near mint, but I mean, the jacket is mint, like this thing. And Elton is one of those artists. Country of Origin rule really applies for the main run of albums. So there's a lot of audiophile reissues of this. Everybody has an opinion. There's a lot of threads, and I'm like, I'd just like to get an original UK. That's what I'd like to go for. And stores will sell the US one for like $30 now, regardless of condition. And I'm like, but that's like the 45th cutting, and it's like beat to crap. Like I just want a good one. So I'm like, maybe a UK one will show up one day. So I couldn't believe it, and it was $30.
Yeah, nice.
So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. And buying on forum, it's not eBay. I know who I'm buying from, and his shipping wasn't expensive. And it got here in 2 days from Canada. I couldn't believe it. So yeah, this was just, and it sounds fantastic. As soon as you put on Funeral for a Friend, that's like, whoa. I've owned a US pressing before, night and day, completely.
Have you listened to the yellow vinyl UK reissue?
I would like to, but that's stupid expensive. And so is the super disc one. And everybody's got a different opinion. So I'm like, but which one? Like, and everybody's got a different opinion. But as far as I'm concerned, if I can't figure it out, country of origin first pressing is usually like the good baseline to go by. Like Police albums are that way, except for Synchronicity, because you got to have one that's screwy. And the Ghost in the Machine as well is also, either or. So that's it for vinyl. Are we also working in like our recently watched? Because there was one I wanted to mention.
Ooh, what do you got?
Okay. I told you this would make a reappearance, but if I watch the Flint films, I have to watch President's Analyst.
Oh, nice.
Wanted to mention this again because this is criminally unknown. It is basically like if you took the Flint films, mixed them with Dr. Strangelove, and it is one of the most wickedly funny satires. It's also kind of feels like Parallax View as well, because it becomes a chase film and it's completely paranoid out the wazoo. I found this and I was like, where has this been all my life? It is completely bizarre, off the wall. Unbelievable they got this film made. Nobody saw it. It died at the box office. Ebert's review from 1967 was just glowing. So the critics who saw it loved it. Coburn is fantastic. Again, it's indescribable. You just have to go see it. DVD does restore that music.
The music.
That's why I never bought the LD. And so I rewatched this and I'm like, oh my God, why haven't I rewatched this sooner? I forgot how great this movie is. Why is there no Blu-ray? And why does nobody know this? This is like Criterion. What are you doing? Like, this should have been out like 10 years ago. This is like, if people saw this, they would fall in love with it, but nobody's seen it. And then
but you had to show up twice in this podcast.
Yeah, I know. As soon as you held it up, I'm like, I was saving this for my, that
was a deep
Dr.
cut.
Strangelove. Yeah. So as soon as I did that, I posted on some of the forums, like 2 days later, the imprint label in Australia put out their list, and President's Analyst will finally come on Blu-ray with a commentary, but it'll cost like $80 to import it. But this movie is so good, like I'm like legit considering, like, because again, if anybody who's watched this has never seen this movie, and it all sounds interesting. The idea of the president having his own psychiatrist who then gets overwhelmed by the job and just goes on the run. And then all the nations of the world decide they want him because he has secrets in his head because he's the president's analyst. And everyone is out to get him. It's even got the sort of overarching Bond villain type scenario in the background. There's a lurking presence. But the satire in here, it's just wickedly funny. Again, it's basically Our Man Flint meets Dr. Strangelove with like maybe a little dose of there's one scene in here that I swear probably inspired Blake Edwards in doing the Oktoberfest scene in Pink Panther Strikes Again, where all the agents come out to kill Clouseau in the Oktoberfest.
Yes, yeah.
I swear he was probably inspired by a scene in this film, which... And again, the things Coburn gets into, it's just like, oh my God, because he starts out straight laced and he's been watched by the CIA and the FBI. He's been profiled and he realizes he's living under a microscope. But the things he gets into when he goes on the run, I mean, he
looks pretty groovy in some of the pictures on the back of the
LD. I mean, it's total psychedelia. He hooks up. I mean, he hooks up with a total stoner hippie band. Like, it's just bizarre, but it's, oh my God. Like, if you haven't seen it, you've got to. It is unbelievable.
He's got these like groovy glasses and stuff.
Yes. And he's playing a gong. Like it's just, but the thing is, the satire is freaking brilliant. And so much of it is so prescient that it's stuff that's still with us. And the best gag is they said FBI and CIA. And then the literal FBI was like, we don't like this. You must change it. So they actually had to go in and every time they redub, every time FBI or CIA is said, all of a sudden it's like, the FBR. So it adds another layer of bizarreness. So again, there is a Parallax View vibe in there as well. I don't know how it ever got made. Like, it's one of those, like, you see it. It's a miracle this movie got made. It is fantastic. Please, it's the recommendation. Like everybody go see it and rave about it.
Excellent. All right. You guys made it. You made it through the mission. Congratulations. You have earned your wings.
And I'm sorry.
And Ryan is sorry. Yeah.
Will Ryan say he will never say never mind?
Yeah. Should I say never mind, Ryan?
Yes. Please.
Wait, Luke, you were going to tell us something about the title.
Did that not through? But I thought it did.
No, you got cut off, I think.
Well, we were talking about the cadence being weird, like the ellipsis on the cover didn't match the way they kind of brought it up in the film. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So it should be. They say never say. They say never say never mind. That's how they say it in the movie.
Never say never mind. Yeah,
but it's never say
never mind. Yeah.
I think we've discussed the movie more than the people who actually made it.
It wrote it. Yeah, it's true.
How did that cost $5 million? If it did cost $5 million,
I'm hoping it went to John Rhys Davies.
JRD, man.
Deserved it. Like
craft services. That's a lot.
Yeah, the pizza box. Yeah,
Gimli pocketed it. Yep. All right, so let's wrap up. Next, I don't even know what I'm gonna watch. Because I've got so many discs. I even watched so many discs. I even talk about because I was doing rot check, so I had to watch Starship Troopers and Fugitive. Fugitive still looks fantastic. Great. And I put together a nice clean copy of Starship Poopers. So up next, I'm gonna rot check Unforgiven. So good deal. What are you gonna watch, Ryan?
I don't even know. I was looking. We hadn't really decided what we're going to do for the next one. So I was like, what do I want to watch that can kind of spur this? But I don't know. I'm probably going to watch something from Dollar Tree and just slum it.
All right, fair enough. What do you have on tap, Vinnie?
I'm going to watch Frighteners. I want to get that.
Excellent.
Oh, good. I'm jealous.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Luke?
I already said it. I'm watching Danger Diabolic.
Cool.
Yeah.
You've never seen it. Ryan, you've seen this?
No, but I've caught parts of it. So
it's so good. It's so like Batman 66, just kind of campy, but it's Italian. Right, but it's what's his face? What's his name that I'm blanking on?
Who, the actor?
Bava. Mario Bava.
It's got those colors and it's amazing. Yeah.
All right, Spencer, what's on tap? Are you doing your pull off the shelf?
Well, I actually had already pulled this off the shelf because I was going to watch it anyway. And then the challenge arrived and it fits in. So similarly, I'm going to rewatch for the first time in a while, Modesty Blaze.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Cool. So this fits right in. Great cast members, great, character that was, in literature beforehand. The movie is very 60s time capsule, and this is the keynote that actually does add some nice extras and a commentary and stuff. Ooh, nice. So I'd finally gotten this, been meaning to watch this, and was like, oh, I'm going to rewatch the Flint films, and then I'll finally watch Modesty Blaze, and then I got the package in the mail. And then if I have enough time, because I'm trying to chip away, I will finish that and maybe do a chapter of Understand Kingdoms, because that's the thing. If you watch a serial and you're doing it chapter by chapter, if you stay away too long, then you kind of forget about it. But you get the recaps at the beginning, so that does help. But it's fun. Watch a movie, watch some extras, and then be like
a chapter,
2 chapters. Yeah.
How far in are you?
I'm halfway, so I'm at chapter 6 out of 10.
Cool. Power to you.
I'm going to watch Falcon and Winter Soldier because that just came out.
Yes, I'll watch that.
Yeah, I'm definitely watching that tomorrow. Yeah, so don't spoil it for me.
No,
good for you.
On a TV show, or are they like?
Yeah, it's the TV show.
No. Are they in a TV show? Or show?
I don't know. Maybe
you'll find out.
Yeah. They're in a 60s spy parody.
Ooh, are they in Never Say Never Mind? Because I'd watch that.
Well, that's episode 4.
Yeah, I should mention I did watch that Blockbuster documentary that was on Netflix as well. So me and Vinnie were kind of going back and forth about mixed feelings on that whole thing about how Blockbuster inherits all of the nostalgia for video shops. All the groundwork the mom and pop shops laid, gets all attributed to Blockbuster.
So is it basically like the Tower Records one, but for
Yeah, exactly. But like I was saying to Vinny, like the Tower Records one, I have a different like kind of thing with, because when I went to Tower Records, I went to Boston, and Tower Records was like in addition to 100 mom and pop record shops.
Yeah,
It
they
put
didn't
any
just
amount of
steamroll in.
Yeah.
And yeah,
whereas
they didn't charge the ridiculous fees and refuse to stock certain items and all that other stuff.
yeah, there's some pretty lots of comedians and stuff on there. Ron Funches and other people, talking about the late fees and things like that. And Kevin Smith, of course, is in there. And yeah, so it's a fun watch for sure. So recommend it.
I was working at Blockbuster where they remember the lawsuit or whatever, where you didn't have the late fees anymore.
Yeah.
I was working there at the time when, they kind of phased out the late fees.
Yeah, they were talking about that because it was like in reaction to Netflix, and they're like, "Well, what can we do?" And they're like, "Well, we're going to give away, the tapes, and then no one can, they can keep them forever, basically."
Right.
And they're like, "Well, this isn't really going to work out."
This is a good business model.
Yeah. They're just going to take the new release and just hold on to it. Yeah. So there you go, kids. Go rent some videos. All right, let's wrap it up. Good job, agents.
Thank you.
You're free.
Go fuck yourself.
And cut. No.